hey, Chris Barrett and Ben Compton. It's just not the two of us anymore. Everybody's here.
Woo!
It's a party.
He's got some bad news. What's going on, guys?
Nobody wanted to. Everybody was cat's sick. Legend, he had to clean up his basement or something. He had to do some chores. Do they even have basements in Texas? I don't think they do.
Oh.
But anyway. So Carson and I said we're gonna go live, but we didn't watch anything. And we've been reading a lot of stuff, and it's kind of outside the issues, but it's not so much outside the issues because it's kind of going along with the current run of Titans on the DC app. And that is one of our favorite stories, and that is Identity Crisis. So we're going to give you a little bit of a conversation about Identity Crisis. If you haven't seen it, we'll give you our opinions. We'll tell you the story. And then if you like what you hear, you can go buy it. Check it out. Right, Carson?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So should we sum up the episode real quick and then kind of talk about why this brought up Identity Crisis as we go, I guess?
Yeah, I think that makes some sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, I mean, we talked about the episode off air a few days ago, and me and you were a little disagreeing on it a little bit, which is totally fine. But I thought this was one of the best episodes of Titans so far, actually. I really enjoyed the intro part where it's just Deathstroke doing his 9-to-5 type job, I guess, taking out a bunch of people because he was paid to do it. And he's the best at what he does, kind of like a certain other Marvel character, I guess, over there. And you kind of establishes that this episode is going to be a flashback episode. So we're not following, I guess, the new Teen Titans. We're following the regular, original, OG Teen Titans. And, oh, man, look who we got in the chat now. I watched these guys today talk about some CW shows. We got Real Comic Book Talk in the chat. Chad, what do you think about Real Comic Book Talk?
Dude, they're going to be on with us.
Oh, nice.
Tomorrow night.
That's awesome. I cannot wait for that tomorrow night. Those guys are awesome.
They're the best. I love they make me laugh.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be a year ago that I met them down in C2 down in Baltimore. So I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, I think my favorite video of those guys, I think they were counting down like each of their respective favorite X-Men movies. And the second they had a disagreement, the strife was hilarious. Definitely check that video out. And just like today's video, it reminds me of our show sometimes. Like the dude, he was trying to end the video, and they still went on for 6 minutes. We still got some more people hopping in the chat. We got the Mastodon Comics and Collecting. What is going on, Don? And then we got he's gone too soon. We got Jason Comics Misexplained. What's going on, man? But I guess back to the sum up the episode real quick. We get to see the original Titans. You get to see Aqualad is with the Titans. You're just like, gee, I wonder where Aqualad's been this whole time. And the episode kind of follows mainly Donna Troy and, Aqualad trying to get with Donna Troy. And you get to see their previous relationships, like with Dove and Robin. I can't remember what the actress's name is for Dove right now because people aren't here to say her name over and over again.
Minka Kelly.
I did remember it. I was just kidding.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to beat a joke into the ground for the 4th week in a row. But anyway, you get to see these relationships play out. But then Donna, she kind of just wants out of the Titans because I guess for whatever reason, she just doesn't feel comfortable there. So one last-ditch effort from Aqualad, and she impulsively sleeps with Aqualad, which if you've seen any horror movies, you kind of know what's going to happen next. So I guess meanwhile on the other side, you got Dr. Light getting his ass kicked by the Titans as usual. So maybe he had something to do with hiring old Slade Wilson to take out Aqualad. I don't know, but nonetheless, or maybe I guess my main question is, Chad, do you think Deathstroke's actual target was supposed to be Aqualad?
See,
all of them, or was it just Donna Troy?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because the thing that's bothering me about this show, about that episode, was who is the woman with her?
We're probably gonna catch flack for this. I have the same question as you.
I'm sitting there going, who is this chick? Because she threw that batarang super, super fast or whatever she had. And but I think it was Donna Troy, because he like moved in the right position. My biggest problem with the entire episode was that they strung it on a little too long. That I think it could have been a 1-episode flashback.
Yeah.
But I think because they are making it stringing. Here's the thing: you and I are in the same boat. I want to see Connor.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Identity Crisis, which we'll talk about here later, is a great story. And I think they could have probably, if they were going to adapt that storyline plus the Judas contract, the Judas contract could have been one off by itself. Identity Crisis could have been a whole season. Do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. Oh, absolutely could have. The whodunit aspect of Identity Crisis, that's something you start from the premiere and you do the whodunit in the season finale.
Yeah, and I think DC's doing something right now that's unprecedented with their TV shows, with the crossover, and especially leading into Crisis. If they were going to do that, I mean, it would have been amazing if they were able to cross over those shows with the DC online shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the viewership would have went through the roof. I don't know, man. There's just a lot of what ifs, in my opinion.
You never know. We'll see what Greg Berlanti can pull off here, because they're filming this stuff probably. I think they just started, so we'll see. You never know.
I mean,
I'm not counting on it, but like I said, they all are under kind of that same umbrella, so we'll see what they can pull off. Maybe just a cameo or one character shows up in costume on set.
I mean, think about this though, Seawood. How badass would it have been if you had Debney there at the beginning of the show, and then like the incident occurs and it brings them all together?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
See, the thing is, though, like, this is going to be. I almost wonder if they're slowly building on the Flash toward Identity Crisis, because this is supposed to be the season where he's going to meet Sue Dibney, or Sue, whatever her name is. I can't remember it all.
Yeah.
But basically, like, I was just kind of picture the storyline in my head. Ralph, he's still a little bit of a sleazebag. Obviously, he's came a long way since they originally introduced him into Flash. But I was kind of thinking, like, once he meets Sue, we're going to start to see him turn into the elongated man from the comic book, where he's not really that sleazeball character, and he's more of that heroic DC type that we know him of. So I was going to guess Sue was going to be the person to make him complete, and then maybe a season or two later, that's where Identity Crisis strikes.
Yeah, you know what? I think overall they've improved on the costumes.
Mm-hmm.
The acting has gotten better. I think they took that first episode and they made it okay. Let's just forget about the season 1 and just make it go away.
Yeah,
and I think because of that, they have taken the whole thing to another level, and I like the direction it's going overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really curious to see where they're going to go with tomorrow's episode, just because I don't know if I call it a cliffhanger exactly or not, but it ended with, Robin goes into that record store and finds Jericho there buying records, and he probably knew the exact record he was going to buy, so he brought it with him to make his friends. He's trying to get Jericho close. Is it going to be the Godfather type thing where you keep your friends close and your enemies closer, or is he just going to straight up take Jericho, hold him hostage, and bring out Deathstroke so they can fight him immediately? So something really bad's going to happen in the next episode where we see the original Titans break up. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to happen.
And they've alluded to it a couple times when they were talking. He says, I think it was Hawk says,
mm-hmm.
What happened here, I'm surprised you didn't burn this place down.
Yeah, and they've already said Jericho's dead, so I'm just wondering, like, I mean, how's he gonna die? And I wonder if they're gonna do that like Jeff Johns Teen Titans thing, where he body hops in the Deathstroke and stays alive. Because Deathstroke seems like he's in a weird place when he's introduced in the present.
Yeah, I mean, well, now that's the other thing. I mean, what about Ravager?
Yeah, exactly. Like, where does she come into all this?
I mean, obviously she's playing Tara, right?
Mm-hmm. And it seems like Ravager kind of already knows about Jericho, where I don't think she did in the comic book at all, really. They never met, whereas she seems like she's calling Jericho her brother, which that tells me they were a family already.
Yeah.
Which they never really got the opportunity to be in most of their popular runs together.
I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see which way it goes and what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're talking about it, I mean, some of the other things that I've recently, I was right before we went on, I was reading this article. Do you care if I share it?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so it says DC Universe announces open call for unscripted video pitches. DC Universe is turning to its fans for its next unscripted project. At this year's New York Comic Con, the streaming service announced that it has teamed up with Ideas United to launch DCU Unscripted, an initiative to invite creators and fans to submit unscripted series ideas inspired by DC properties. According to the official project description, the DCU Unscripted project will be open for entries beginning the evening of October 3rd to November 18th. To any Ideas United network members who is over 18 and a U.S. resident. Any creator is welcome to easily and quickly apply to join the IU network. During this submission process, talent and fans, enthusiasts alike, will be able to submit their unscripted reality video series ideas ranging from game shows to gameplay to hot foods and hot takes. The top 10 entries chosen will travel to Los Angeles, California to spend a day with the industry professionals to refine their concepts and have a chance to pitch their concepts in person to a panel of DC executives and entertainment luminaries. 3 finalists will move to have an unscripted pilot produced by Ideas United, with 1 final entry receiving a series order which will launch exclusively on the DC universe. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, sounds interesting.
Maybe we should do something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what idea should we give away on the internet right now that we're gonna submit to this thing?
I mean, yeah, maybe we'll just call it the Comic Core. Maybe we get moved to DC universe, then we can't get hit with censorship.
The only random cool intro to a show I could think of, and I don't know why I just saw this, so I'm gonna pitch it anyway to see what these wonderful 11 people watching think. This goes with the crisis thing coming up in a couple of months. But you start off an episode of one of your favorite CW shows. Starts off on a beach in the dark. You see the waves. So everything's quiet, and then you see this young couple walking down the beach. Smart alecky, snot-nosed kid, making his girlfriend annoyed. She kind of storms off, so he's just alone by himself on the beach looking at the stars. And then he kind of looks, to his corner like this, and he's just like, oh, what is that? And he picks up this wet, smelly red and blue suit, and it's a Superman suit. And it just reminds him of his favorite character when he was a kid. And he's just like, this is cool, man. I'm taking this home. He takes it home, he throws it in the dryer real quick. His parents are like, what are you doing laundry in the middle of the night? He's like, don't worry about it. Shut up. Leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. And, clothes get dry, he puts it on, and all of a sudden, he's feeling pretty good. He feels great, actually. So what does he do? He just goes out, and he's like, man, it'd be cool to, look up at the night sky one more time, and next thing he knows, he's hovering toward that night sky, and he has superpowers. It's Superboy Prime, baby.
And then he gets hit with a blue brick.
Yep.
No, yeah, dude, that would be awesome because then you could really shake up the universes and that whatnot. And then the other one that I saw is, hey, John's Comics and Kids. I hit that too. The other one I was thinking that I saw is that did you see that one episode of the Disney shows that are being developed for Marvel is going to cost $25 million. It's $160 million a series.
Wow.
They are spending for 6-hour film. And one of the cool things that I saw is that in Loki, maybe I can pull up the image. Well, I'll jump back to that while I look for the image. You want to take over?
Yeah, go ahead and look for your image. Go ahead and get to this chat real quick because we got a lot of people been hopping in saying hi. Like you said, we got John's Comics with Kids. What is going on, John? Can't wait. Hopefully, we'll see that guy in Baltimore in a few weeks. Still got Chris Barrett in the chat. What is going on, Chris? Thank you for being in the Comic Core chat for the umpteenth time. We still got real comic book talk. Like I said, hopefully we'll get a chance to do some real comic book talk with those guys tomorrow. Let's see. We got Z Collect saying, make sure y'all She-Hulk smash that like. Thanks a lot, Z Collects. We'll see if the Jason Smith theory stands true that you were talking about last week. We got the Comic Intellect P saying, hey, what is going on, man? We got Comic Man Andy. What's going on, Andy? And then we got Comics with Bueller in the chat. Always like seeing Bueller. What is going on, man? And we got the lurker himself, probably sitting in his room with his blue blazer on, watching like, Ozymandias and the Watchmen. We got Perry Comics in the chat. What is going on? I don't think I shouted out Poor Man's Comics earlier. He says, we, the people, he loves them some Jake Hager. Just came back to wrestling last night on AEW. So, by the way, AEW, thumbs up. Like Chad was telling me earlier, there's some botches yesterday, but still, I'd say a solid first episode. Too bad it didn't take place at the Mall of America, but oh well, what are you going to do?
But they did reference the first WCW probably 800 times.
Oh, yeah. The commentary has a little bit of work to do. I'll be honest. They got, the two veterans in there. They just got to shake off the rust, I guess. But I don't
think JR knows how to call like the high, this like fast. Do you know what I mean? That fast pace.
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like they were just like forcing each other to take turns. I don't know. He's just like, Tony's like, so Excalibur, what did you think of that move? And Excalibur, oh, that was a great move. What about you, JR? Oh, son of a bitch. Damn it. And that was the commentary. So they got some work to do. But Chad, do you have that image?
Yeah, I do. I think I do. Oh, man.
Oh.
I'm saving it. Save image as. Boom. Put it over here.
Trying to think if I've watched it, I can talk. Okay, you got it. Whew. Ran out of chat.
Well, you got tons to talk about. I mean,
yeah, I said Joker's out now. I haven't had a chance to go see it yet, but it's got like a 9+ rating on the Internet Movie Database, so people seem to be loving it so far.
Didn't they say something that who was it that was saying that there's a oh man, what is it? There's going to be like some kind of uproar about it. They were telling people not to go watch it.
Some media outlets like, oh, there's probably going to be an outbreak of violence at the Joker movie, and now there's people panicking. I'm just like, oh, that's just, unfortunately domestic terrorism. And the worst part about that is it scares people staying into their homes. And we need to do the opposite of that. Get out there and, enjoy our lives. So
we need to get out there, go check those out, get out into the city. Kind of like this picture of Loki. If you see this, if you look in the background, Loki is at the premiere. It looks like maybe New York City, but I'm a little because Jaws came out in the summer. I think it came out in June. So, everybody's in jackets and that, so I'm a little worried about
sprinkling. It could be a brisk day, or there's a storm passing through and straying a little bit. So
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just making shit up.
But Jaws, 1976.
Yeah, as I said, it's definitely the 70s.
But the one thing is that this is a Loki that's not redeemed. Okay, he's redeemed himself in the more recent ones, but when he was being punished in Thor 2 for his attacks on New York, this is a Loki that escaped that punishment and basically escaped being held responsible for anything. So he's going to be jumping. They said that he's going to have major changes on the reality. So he's in our reality. He's in the 616 reality, and he's jumping around, changing stuff. So it's kind of interesting. I'm kind of interested to see where they're going, especially since $160 million is dedicated to 6 episodes.
Wow. That is pretty crazy.
Oh man, when you think about that, geez.
Like, is there any other show close to that? Like, did they even spend a fraction of that on, say, maybe Stranger Things, like the other like really big show right now that's on streaming?
I don't think anything.
Yeah, as I said, I'm trying to think of anything close that
would. And do you know, last night before AEW came on, I was watching TNT, and Suicide Squad was on.
Yeah, I was watching the last half hour too.
You know, I never realized Harper from Stranger Things was in Suicide Squad.
I think I do kind of remember seeing him like when I was talking to somebody on the phone last night.
And I was like, oh my God. But anyway, so that's pretty cool. And I've just been reading a lot of stuff about, I've been really interested. I know it sounds stupid, but I've been interested in this whole Spider-Man back to the MCU and how Tom Holland played a huge part in doing that.
Yeah, because I mean, they've gone through so many Spider-Mans at this point. Obviously, Sony, with 100% control, was kind of just driving it into the ground at that point. Because, I mean, I enjoyed Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man overall, but that second movie, after that one, they need to take a long break from handling that franchise themselves. And honestly, like Venom, it made money, obviously, but it wasn't a quality film. I don't really plan on ever watching Venom again. So I'm guessing if Tom Holland, really enjoys his status quo right now, he definitely enjoys being under that Disney umbrella.
I do have a couple more things I wanted to talk about. DC.
Oh, go for it.
Okay. Trying to find...
I still think it's funny people are panicking over the whole Spider-Man thing, though, because the original deal, they fulfilled it. People seem surprised when it was over. That's what's been killing me about that whole thing this whole time. Because it was literally like, what was it, like 4 movies total? 2 of them Spider-Man movies, 2 of them Avengers movies?
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was technically 5 movies. I think he was actually in an extra movie because he was in Civil War. I guess they probably advertised 4 after that, maybe. So he's in Civil War, Captain America, and then he was in his own movie, and then Infinity War, Endgame, and then his own movie sequel. So there you go. You got your 5 movies. Deal was done.
Well, I mean, you've got Tony showing up in Black Widow. I'm trying to... There is another girl that's going to be in... Okay, here it is. I don't know the actress's name, but I will show you an image of her. Man, we come so prepared. You know that, right? I mean,
this Identity Crisis comic, man, this is phenomenal.
We're gonna jump into it, I promise. I'm so excited that I actually had some ideas.
I know Chris Barrett's on the edge of his seat. When you said Black Widow and pictures, he's just like, oh my God, where's the pictures?
All right. So very similar to, if you think about how Tony well, so, oh man, how do I set this up? So I think we're gonna get a little bit of a flashback of Budapest, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think we have to at this point.
And we're gonna figure out what's gonna go on with what transpired in Budapest, and something similar is going to happen. So Hawkeye, I think, was sent there to kill Black Widow. After meeting her and getting her out and doing that, he offered her a chance to be with Shield.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see something very similar in the end credits. And this is just a hunch because, you know, we've already saw and heard of Thunderbolts, and we've got General Ross on the set filming an end credit, and this is what he looks like.
Yeah, he aged that 5 years, I guess.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see him recruit this one because she's going to be in jail, and this is going to be the new Black Widow. I think Thunderbolts is going to play a huge factor because I don't think Taskmaster is going to die. The main antagonist for the Winter Soldier and Falcon show is going to be, geez, I got this bug in here. Baron Zemo.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see some things come to fruition. But that's about all I got for you on this. I think it's time we talk about some Identity Crisis.
All right. So we'll go ahead and spin up the old DC universe here. See if I can get Alfred's picture on the screen once it crashes. But I mean, if you guys haven't read Identity Crisis, we're just kind of gonna go through it real quick, issue by issue, give our thoughts, I guess, on each issue, and then see what Chad thinks about each issue here as well. So we'll just hop right into it. So I guess let me ask you first before we do hop in, Chad. Like, did you read a lot of DC around this time? And if so,
yeah.
Like what books did you read around this time? And what was the DC universe like? And I think what was it, 2005, if I remember right, this came out?
Yeah. So everything was status quo at this point. I think this was a big shakeup. It was kind of boring though. Like, DC has its laws, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And what they introduced, I mean, right here and there. I mean, you have Tim, who is, Tim at the time was Robin, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and he was debating on breaking away and just going to spend some time with his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just very. There wasn't any huge off-world event that was going to happen, and to see what transpired, what had happened back in the, I guess, 80s, right? Would you say that was in the 80s?
Probably for the most part, yeah, because it seems like, with a lot of the 90s DC stuff, you had your few key things that happened, like Superman, Batman's back getting broken, so on and so forth, the Parallax stuff and Zero Hour, but it seems like a lot of DC, they just really wanted to clamp on to what happened in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah. And just to see a tragedy like this happen, this is crazy.
Yeah, for me, if I remember right, because it's, we'll be honest, like I just read this like a few weeks ago, and I was just trying to remember like what were the other books I was reading at the time, and I've actually been kind of rereading Jeff Johns' Teen Titans as well, which this story made me want to read that because of the whole, like you mentioned, Tim Drake and his relationship with his dad. Early on in that series, you see Tim not go to Titan's Tower for a weekend because he wants to go camping with his dad. So, and this was well before Identity Crisis. So it makes me wonder how far in advance Jeff Johns knew about the events of Identity Crisis, because they're planting those seeds real early. And I'll be honest, I've never really sat down and read the Robin series. I don't know. You probably have read a lot more Robin than I have.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much Jack Drake was involved in that series. I would imagine a decent amount, but at least in Titans, they did a pretty decent job of showing that relationship with
I'm
Tim
trying to think right now. I think
issue 5. I think it's in this one.
I actually think.
Go ahead.
I think he knew Bruce was Batman.
I think so, yeah, but he didn't know about Tim being the Robin. He has to tell him.
Yeah, and I think at the beginning of Identity Crisis, he's getting ready to tell him, right?
I think so. Actually, I think he knows he's Robin by the very beginning of Identity Crisis, the very beginning. And then the other books that were kind of all weird during this time, like Hal Jordan wasn't back yet as a Green Lantern, so you see a scene with him as a Spectre that we're going to talk about coming up. So by the time Infinite Crisis rolls around, which we'll probably talk about at some point in time, very soon on this channel, he's between this and Infinite Crisis, he will be Green Lantern again. And then you also got to remember a very important thing in this is Wally West is still our Flash at this time. We do not have Barry Allen is not back yet, so a lot of what Barry had to do in the past, Wally's having to take care of going through Identity Crisis. So I thought that was like an interesting thing, rereading it in 2019 that honestly I kind of forgot about because, unfortunately, Wally in the 2010s, he hasn't had a good 2010, so we'll just leave it at that. So I guess without further ado, we'll go ahead and just breeze through issue 1 here. And, of course, we're going full spoilers. So if you guys haven't read this thing, pause it now and watch the rest on the rewind, I guess. Unless you just don't care, feel free to keep watching. Then we just dropped 2 views. So, sweet. Anyway, thank you so much to the 8 people who are still watching. So hopefully you'll enjoy this quick recap of Identity Crisis. But it kind of opens up with the scene here of the elongated man, Ralph Dibny. And who's this character with him, Chad? Is that
Firehawk?
Firehawk, that's right. I don't know too much about my Firehawk. I should have mentioned as well, around the time this originally came out, I was fresh back in the comic books, basically. So this is one of the first reads that I really enjoyed coming back in. So characters like Firehawk, I wasn't too familiar with. And I'll be honest, I wasn't too familiar with Ralph Dibny. And I think Brad Meltzer, who's the writer of this, and Rags Morales, who's the artist, they did a pretty good job of, displaying the character of Ralph Dibny early on to make me want to care about the Elongated Man. Because at the time, I didn't know him too much more from Plastic Man, I'll be honest. So what do you think of this opening scene between Firehawk and the Elongated Man, Chad?
It's kind of cool because he's explaining his relationship with his wife and giving them the backstory of how they met. But at this time, too, there was a lot of new people that came out of like the 0 hour. A lot of new there was a lot of new characters that came out of 0 hour, Bloodlines, and they are doing a mentor type thing, and he's teaching her what it's like to stake out someone, and it's kind of cool, the aspect. And as the story progresses, you could see, I mean, it's written so well that you could actually tell how much he actually loves his wife.
Absolutely. Then after that, opening scene, we kind of go to Smallville with Clark and his parents sitting there reading the newspaper. And she's just like, giving Ma Ken a check that she doesn't want for the paper. She wants to pay for her own Daily Planet because they want to earn everything they have. The stubborn parents from Kansas. Then, you see one of the favorite lines I do have to stop and talk about here as I'm flipping through this. And they're arguing about the whole check thing, and she goes, "I bet Batman never does this to his parents." And then the look on Clark's face, like that's why I really like Rags Morales' art in this, just because like sometimes he doesn't draw the best bodies, as you kind of almost even see on the same page with Superman, but his facials are so good. They're almost like the artist who did the Detroit era Justice League, Kevin McGuire. He's just so good at like putting emotions on faces, and just the shock and just awkwardness that's put on Clark's face, like right there. I laugh every time I see that. So I don't know if you got that one for the screen or not, but definitely enjoyed that part. The Olsen signal goes off, or the Justice League signal device. So something bad has happened. and you're kind of seeing the reactions before you actually see what has happened here. So what did you think about Superman hanging out with his parents on Kent Farm here?
The one thing that I got to say about the art, I like the art throughout this book. It's all right. I'll say a solid B, right?
Yeah, I would agree 100%.
But the comparison between Clark and his family is that
pretty funny.
I mean, he looks like the Hulk.
Yeah.
I mean, in the top picture right here.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not too, like, his bodies are a little weird. Like Superman, like the S is just so gigantic and huge. But then like the Clark facial reactions, I think are awesome. So it's kind of weird.
But there's, you can tell that they're salt of the earth type people. Solid. You know, you understand now reading this and seeing their emotions why he told Clark to let him die in a tornado.
Yeah. Oh, God. Anyway, back to the story. A good story here.
That joke just dropped us to 4 people.
Oh man, the rest of the DC, the other half of the DC fan base, we just chased off. But anyway, back to maybe one of them will be Cat here, because we're getting ready to talk about Starfire and Nightwing. Who doesn't love that combo right there? So unfortunately, when dead parents get brought up, we have to see Nightwing visiting the grave of his parents. So you have to see this whole scene that they kind of just talk about how they dated, and it's their parents' anniversary. Starfire wanted to be there for him. And then once again, the Justice League pager goes off. It's, oh my God. So something really bad has happened. Next up, we go to Star City, where, in my opinion, this is where we meet our real feature character of Identity Crisis. We meet up with Green Arrow right here. And he's training Connor Hawk a little bit, doing some training with, what's his name? Black Cat. Yeah, whatever his name is. I forget what that guy's name is every single time.
Ted Cord.
No, it's not Ted Cord.
Not Ted Cord. Ted.
Yeah.
His name's Ted.
Yeah. Our bad. But anyway, he gets summoned, and then you kind of go back 17 minutes until now, and you're back with Firehawk and Elongated Man. He's still talking about Jean, and you get to see this like sweet scene where Elongated Man, Barry Allen Flash went on the town. They have to do some saving at a ball, and everyone is so starstruck that the Flash is there. It's like, oh my God, it's the Flash. We all love the Flash. Who doesn't love the Flash? He's amazing. And everyone's eyes are on the Flash except for Sue Dibney, who has one of the sweetest looks, and she just notices, she's the only person in the room who notices Ralph among all that. So what did you think of that scene, Chad?
No, it just brings the whole story together, and it shows how much this meant to this man, this relationship, and what is about to come is just, you can understand why they did what they did.
Yep, so they keep telling their stories, even when she's on the Justice League satellite surrounded by like all these, I guess, beefcakes, as they call them. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like Hawkman with no shirt on and Superman, Aquaman. She still only had eyes for Ralph. So stories keep going. You kind of see the creeps they're scoping out here. And then meanwhile, you get to see Sue. Sorry, I almost said Jean. I don't know why Jean Loring's on my mind already. But anyway, you see Sue. She's buying a little a search class because, he's a detective. It'll be a fun, quirky gift for a detective because there's going to be a riddle to solve basically here soon. So buying them a present because it's their anniversary. And, bad things are starting to happen. See a shootout. Meanwhile, during that shootout, something bad is happening to Sue. So Sue, she's been put through a table. She's bleeding. Her present's been broken. And someone says, "Goodbye, Sue." And you see a flamethrower go off. And it's not a good sight. So what's the action here like, Chad?
So you're sitting there scratching your head. This leads up the whole thing at this point leads up into a funeral. Obviously, it's a funeral for Sue, and Wonder Woman speaks, and everybody's there. Every single person there. And there's a scene in it where Ralph is trying to hold it together, And when I say hold it together, he is literally holding his face in place because he's crying so bad. At the end of the funeral, the groups form and they leave. They're going to find out who killed Sue. Except for a small group of people, they don't leave. And they turn to Ralph, and Ralph says, we got to get Dr. Light.
Yep. There is one more splash panel I got to cover real quick, though, and it's a pretty important one. It's where, unfortunately, Ralph wasn't fast enough to save his wife, so then you see, and I don't know if you have this page to bring up, but you see, he's reacting to finding his wife burnt to a crisp, but then you pan down on the second part of that, and you see the pregnancy test that says daddy equal, or 2 positive lines equals daddy, basically. So, yeah, not only was she murdered, so was the unborn child of Ralph Dibny. So it's a double whammy there, unfortunately. And then you kind of get some seed planting here, basically, with, Robin coming home to, his dad, Jack. And you're just like, oh, that's kind of a weird placement for that. But you'll kind of find out later why, Robin's getting quite a bit of spotlight here. And then, yeah, like you said, we can go ahead and go to the funeral part. So I believe that actually issue 1 ends with the Find Me Dr. Light part with, they're consoling Ralph. And that's where they're going to start by looking for Dr. Light. And now I got to load up issue 2 because that was the end of issue 1.
So issue 2 kind of starts off with the one particular group just hanging back and talking to him to get ready, and him saying, go find Dr. Light. And the group consists of the Flash, Barry Allen, Green Arrow, Hawkman, Zatanna, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Black Canary. Is that it? Yeah.
The Atom.
And the Atom.
Ray Palmer's in there too.
And the reason why they are going after Dr. Light is that prior to this, Dr. Light broke onto the watchtower and he forced himself onto Sue. And at the time when all this was occurring, the Justice League was out. They fortunately came back right in the nick of time and put a stop to it. And the first one there was obviously Flash. And I put this up on the screen. So the first thing is Flash gets him off of her. And next comes Hal punches him with a glove. Green Arrow shoots him twice, once in the shoulder and I think in the thigh. And then the Atom comes in there too. Now at this point, Sue, I mean, this took a whole different twist on Dr. Light to me, because at the time I wasn't a real big, Dr. Light was always a Teen Titans bad guy, and they actually make reference to that in this story.
They sure do.
But go on. I
do want to talk about one of my favorite parts of all of Identity Crisis. It's where the kind of the survivors, I guess you can call it, group is kind of meeting for the first time, right at the end of the funeral. Ralph's suiting up. So by the survivors, I mean Zatanna, Atom, Hawkman, Green Arrow, and Canary, because obviously Barry and Hal are dead. They're not there. So you see Hawkman, he kind of just looks over. And once again, this is where I think Rags Morales really shines, just with his facials with Hawkman and the way he draws his eyes. I really like that. Hawkman actually uses his eagle eyesight to spot Wally spying on what this group is doing, because he was, Wally, he's fairly smart too. He noticed this group didn't really get assigned and go look for people like, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, those people did, the Titans. He's just like, why wouldn't the closest friends go too? So he was trying to figure out what they're doing in full costume, getting ready to do something. And then meanwhile, Green Arrow's like, "Hey, Kyle Rayner, I see you up there too." And Kyle's like, "No, how did you do that? Like, that's impossible." And he was just, "I bluffed."
Yeah.
So, definitely one of my favorite parts, just that whole experience of the veterans of the Justice League versus, kind of our 90s rookies we got going on here. So definitely really enjoyed that part, but we can probably go ahead and skip to after
No. Well, I mean,
here.
They're having the conversation and they start telling Flash what transpired.
Yeah, that's why we're seeing what transpired, because they basically tell Wally their version of the story at the time.
Now the problem is, he says to him, "Oh, I swear to you, it's just a lead, Cal, nothing more." And that's what Green Arrow says. And then Wally comes back and says, "Really? Then why don't we ask Clark, or better yet, Bruce?"
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
I can have them here in a second. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
Think I'm bluffing, Ollie? Try me, please.
And there seems to be this whole tone in all of Identity Crisis that this group here really doesn't like the Trinity. I don't know if it's just a jealousy thing.
Yeah, no, you're right.
They just don't want them in their business at all. I can understand Batman because of what's going to transpire, what you're going to find out transpired, but they don't even like to deal with Superman at all. They're just, when they have to call him in later, it's like, "Oh God, here he is. Get it over with." All right. And then Wonder Woman, she's barely even in this book. So, but yeah, there seems to be this just negative connotation between the heart of the League, I guess, and the Trinity.
Yeah. It's I'll pull up this image for us because I think it actually comes to play. It actually gets edited later.
Yeah.
If I'm right about it. Let me see.
It's not the Bat Dong, is it?
Oh, damn it, you got me again.
Ah.
No, I think, is this it here? Yeah. This image right here. So the top of this, you see all of them. I believe later in this, you're going to see the same image, but with Batman in it.
Yeah, because it's right between where Flash's head is at and Canary's at. There's kind of like that little bit of open space right there. There is a reason why there's a little bit of open space right there. So you'll find out a little later what fits right in that puzzle piece.
Foreshadowing.
Yes. Yeah, so there's another interesting section coming up where they're just they're kind of asking about identities and stuff, thus Identity Crisis. And, at this point, they know that Dr. Light has to know identities. And he knows, obviously, Sue Dibney's relationship with Elongated Man at this point. So that is not good. So they're debating, what are they going to do about this? They don't want to, it's not Marvel where they want to kill the villains all the time. They don't want to kill unnecessarily. So they're trying to figure out what their best option is. And they basically come up with having Zatanna, making him forget who the identities of their heroes are. So this is where the book really takes its turn and, in my opinion, gets its identity, kind of pun intended, in this whole story here. So, the whole group is basically debating on what are they just going to take out a little bit? What are they going to take out of Dr. Light's mind? And then I believe, the term Green Arrow uses, clean them up.
Yeah, so, but here is an image from the book.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not the Dr. Light that you're used to.
Right.
He's shackled and he is making images with light of him, attacking Sue.
Yep.
And look at his tongue. Again, to your point, to your credit earlier, the faces. The dude is absolutely, you can see how deranged he is in this.
Yeah, he's completely lost it at this point, and there's no redeeming him on his own, basically. So they're just trying to figure out, what do you do? And I never even noticed until just now, in that bottom panel, you can see, the light of Sue crying from that and her makeup fading and that stuff. I've never really noticed the corner of that panel before now.
Yeah, and he's just playing it over and over again.
Mm-hmm. They said, Z, make him forget. So she puts him to sleep. And Hawkman just goes, are you sure that's enough? And they're like, what are you talking about? And they're like, how many times do we have to go through this with Dr. Light? And then that's where the debate really begins. So they start to take a vote. And I believe the vote goes toward Hal, Ollie, and Black Canary, obviously on their own side. You know, if they were to split up in teams, those would be the three that would stick together among any of these other groups. The other group is Hawkman, Zatanna, and the Atom of all people. And then that just leaves the tiebreaker being Barry.
It is they do it. I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, okay, now I remember it now because it's been a minute since I read this book.
Sure.
So they're telling Wally this story, and they're telling Cal, and now they're looking for Dr. Light as they're going out looking for Dr. Light. At this point, Dr. Light has gotten wind that they're looking for him, and I don't know if he. Wherever they go, Dr. Light somehow goes to the bar or hangout place of all the villains, and he's looking for somebody to protect him. But there's something else going on in the background, and it's Captain Boomerang is getting goofed on by Merlin and a couple of the other rogues that he's not really anything. He's not even a villain. He throws boomerangs and whatnot. And you can see how it's affecting him, and he's getting pissed, and he's going to try to figure something out. But I don't remember how they all figured out who was who. Do you remember that?
Like,
because we know where he's going.
But
why is he going there?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, they're just not leaving. So you're basically asking, how did Dr. Light figure out he's getting targeted?
Boomerang. Where Boomerang's going?
I think it's the calculator who's kind of like pulling the strings from behind,
and he's getting that information from somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So calculator's kind of like the oracle for the bad guys, basically. Except he's in it for himself, and he's definitely pulling some puppet strings, and he's targeting the weak. And one of the weakest, not character wise, but literally weakest character states is Captain Boomerang. He's out of shape. He's getting older. He's balding. He kind of finds out he has an illegitimate child coming up here in a little bit. So he's definitely going to get played big time here in a little while. But back to Dr. Light trying to look for some salvation here. So basically, I think he tries to maybe go for Merlin or something like that. But he decides, basically he gets the best hired for him, and that's Deathstroke. So when you get Deathstroke involved in all this mayhem, what is going to happen now, Chad?
It's on.
Yeah.
I mean, he even says you have to bring in a professional.
Mm-hmm.
And because so in this scene right here that you see, that we have up on the screen, it is actually Dibney knows they know where Dr. Light is. Dibney goes in and rushes in first, and as you can see, Deathstroke laid him out quick and easy. Now at the bottom of the screen, you guys probably don't know who this character is if you're not reading DC, because he hasn't been in anything. But this is Dr. Midnight. And at the time, he was like the main medical examiner for the Justice League. Like they used him a lot. And he is examining Sue, and he's performing the autopsy. And in the autopsy, he finds something out.
Yeah, he just basically finds out that he deduces that Dr. Light could not have killed Sue Dibney because there was something in her that went wrong with her lungs way before she was burned to death. So she was just burned to cover up what actually killed her. And Dr. Midnight finds this out. So not only do you have this, like, you know, the veteran Justice League looking for Dr. Light, and now they're going to go to war basically with Slade freaking Wilson over now what basically is nothing, because Dr. Light didn't kill Sue Dibney. So now it's not only are you going to see this whole thing with Deathstroke transpire, we're back to square one trying to figure out what happened with Sue.
And that takes us right into issue 3.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, though, I do want to touch base on. These covers on these books were amazing. They were all done by the late Michael Turner.
Mm-hmm.
They were absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, because I think Michael Turner's DC work at this point really only consisted of the Superman Godfall stuff, which definitely, if you guys see those in dollar bins, pick them up. He does the interiors and everything. They're phenomenal. They look great.
Was that the Batman Superman?
And he followed that up with Batman Superman, yes. So that was the return of Supergirl. And that was pretty much it. Before he did those runs, he didn't know anything about DC Comics. Like, he learned as he was drawing these characters about who these characters were, basically, and then he stuck around because he liked it so much.
And I believe I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna rely on you. I have it, but him and his son were doing a book right before he died.
Jeff and Sam Loeb, yeah.
And they were gonna do a Batman Superman, and it's a one-off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think other artists has picked up and finished off the artwork. And I think it was mainly Nightwing and Superboy.
It was Tim and Superboy. Actually, got the issue hanging right up there on my wall. It says Batman issue 26.
Such a beautiful book.
Yeah, and actually has 2 Michael Turner covers. There's an A and a B cover, and the one I have on my wall, it's Tim. He's standing on like a Superboy logo, and he's just holding like a tattered shirt, kind of like the tattered cape of Superman when he got killed in the 90s. And it's a tribute issue to Sam Loeb, who unfortunately passed away right before the book came out. So therefore, like, you know, Jeff Loeb, you know, obviously you feel bad for the guy. A lot of creators came to his aid and wanted to help him publish this story that his son wrote. So you had guys like John Cassaday. I think Jay Lee worked on the book. Rob Liefeld even, you know, moved his selfishness aside.
I said Michael
a whole page.
Sorry.
There was a lot of art. There's like, I think they had 26 artists and writers help get this book on the shelves, and it was really touching.
I want to get that book again. If you know what, I know I don't have it.
Yeah,
I lost
a copy.
It's a beautiful book, and the cover on this was one of my favorite covers. This is Identity Crisis number 3, and just to see, you know, Slade standing over top of, at the time, the Justice League is just, oh my God, this gets good and a little hairy.
Yeah, Turner's usually known, like a lot of cover artists anymore, for his women, and man, he just knocks it out of the park all around on this cover. I mean, it's amazing. I don't even know if it's my personal favorite cover of the run, but it's an awesome cover for sure. But we start out here, Slade Wilson. He's basically like an evil version of Batman. Like, if Batman just decided, I'm going to be a mercenary, I'm just going to work for only money. That's what I think of Slade Wilson. I think they point out that, like, he uses more than 10% of his brain. It's more like 70 or 80, or it's like used to its full capacity, basically. So he can immediately come up with a strategy to defeat the Justice League based on their strengths or weaknesses and their power set.
And it's being narrated. The entire fight is being narrated by Green Arrow.
Yes, a lot of this book is narrated by Green Arrow, and especially this part, because Green Arrow, he's pretty smart too. He's a clever fighter. He doesn't have any power, so he has to also be pretty clever in the battlefield, and he knows exactly what he's up against, and he can't do much about it. He says he can see Slade smiling under his man.
And you know, one point it says Slade fights like Bruce. Everything is calculated. Next he goes for the long range weapons. Carter's ready, and then boom, boom. And the action, though, it's drawn very well. Like, you can actually feel it flowing
Yeah.
But it's crazy, and so it comes down to him and Ollie, and Ollie ducks right when he's about to get hit, like his head chopped off. But Slade wasn't aiming for the head; he was aiming for the arrows. So there's no weapons that anybody can do.
Yeah, and then even I like when he takes out multiple. He takes out, I think, 2 of them with a laser pointer.
Yeah,
A laser pointer, because he hits the Atom because he's like a microscope. He just hits him with a laser pointer, and it has enough atoms in the laser pointer to deflect him to Hawkman, because he has to go bigger to get out of the laser pointer, and he just goes head first right into Hawkman. And you just see the narration is what makes it from Green Arrow. He goes, 2 of our strongest leaguers down with nothing but a laser pointer. And now all that's left is the most powerful weapon in the universe. But I love me some Kyle Rayner, but especially at this time, he's still no Hal Jordan. Like, he's still relatively, new to the Green Lantern Corps. It's probably not even really the Green Lantern Corps again yet. He's the only one. So he really hasn't had a lot of training with the ring. And Slade is taking a huge gamble saving Kyle for last, because they're even talking about that in the narration. He's just like, I wonder if this will work if I just take my hand and cover your ring. It probably shouldn't work, but because you don't know how to use your ring, it's going to work. And it actually kind of does, because he breaks his fingers.
And as Cal's about to go down, what happens next?
Man, so they kind of just deduce at this point, at least especially Ollie, like, he's taking us out based on our strategies and our strengths. So basically the best conclusion that they can do is just get dirty. So you see Ollie, he just takes one of his arrows, which has no feathers on the back now because they got chopped off, and he just jumps them and sticks his in his eye socket, the one without the eye. At least he had enough mercy to put it in the wrong eye. But yeah, then it's just a knockdown, drag-out brawl between Slade and the Leaguers.
And while they're having this fight, it's all very reminiscent.
Yes.
And Dr. Light is starting to remember something.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the same people.
Yep.
And what's he remember? He remembers.
Yep, I was going to say, there it is.
So if you look close, I don't know if you guys can see on the screen or not, where the leg is, you have Flash. But if you look down below where you have the leg, you have Batman. So Batman was in the scene, and this is where Light says, "You took my mind," and he just goes nuclear.
Yep, and then what's maybe Oliver's other worst fear after that? Not dying, but he comes back after being almost flashbanged, basically, and he sees the red and blue S of Superman. And he's just like, what happened? And they say, Deathstroke took our lunch money. We decided to get it back. So what do you think about Superman here over all these, like, beat up, defeated, bleeding Justice Leaguers?
I was trying to pull it up real quick. So the scene before this, the whole page goes yellow, and now they're just sitting there with their asses being handed to them, and they know he knows Ollie did it, but this is where Wally actually has to step up.
Yep.
It says, "It was my idea. Ralph had a run-in with Light a few years back, so we thought, well, if that was Light taking revenge, we just wanted to give Ralph the chance to bring him in." And he says, "I understand," and then that's it. But the truth, Ollie, or I swear on Barry's grave, I'll hand you over to Clark myself. And this is where he goes ahead and tells him what happened.
Yeah, it's right here is where, like, they may as well just put, like, oh, you should also read The Watchmen. I mean, he got them, like, taking pictures of each other and stuff, but actually it's not each other because they get taken over in a switcheroo. So there was this, like, thing where some villains body swapped with their heroes. It's kind of like, what is it, the Freaky Friday scenario? And
yeah,
it literally just has them, like, posing for pictures and stuff. It just reminded me, like, of The Watchmen, where they always, like, pose for that picture. and all smiles and that stuff, and then it's just so dark and gritty on the underbelly. But then that's where they really start to appreciate their secret identities and why they have them. So it's kind of like the big explanation they got going on here, and they're explaining why they mind wiped as many people as they decided to do.
It's because that these villains knew who they had, and they were killing off. I mean, there's a scene where they killed off Lawrence Lance, devoted husband, proud father, Cindella, which is Zatanna's mother, and then last but not least was Iris Allen, and it was enough. So, Joker. This is like the Joker has already shot Barbara. People make fun of secret identities, wondering how they kept them up for so long, and basically the entire time it was Zatanna who was saying, I'm going to say it like she says, Tigoroff,
Forget backwards.
And it is forget Clark Kent. And it shows that when I'm sorry, I'm jumping way ahead.
No, it actually kind of has an interesting page here where it shows Superman consoling Elongated Man, but it zooms in on his ear. So that kind of tells me that whole conversation Oliver just had with Wally, Superman heard it and has decided to do nothing. So that's kind of what Ollie's trying to tell Wally here. It's like, you could cause a stir and tell, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, but they believe what they want to believe and they hear what they want to hear. Now, if you're done judging, we've still got a killer to catch. So they kind of just end that whole scene there.
So it now cuts to the is it the calculator?
Yeah, this is the calculator. And then Merlin's kind of like his other big source guy too, is feeding him information as well.
And they're giving information to none other than a deadbeat has been Captain Boomerang. And Captain Boomerang is sitting in front of a house. And he finds out that it's his illegitimate son. Then we go and jump forward a little bit to Gotham City, where Tim and Jack Drake, father and son, are getting ready to have a conversation. But this time, Tim has a black eye. Tim's father said, "What happened to your face? Is that makeup? I just Jared accidentally elbowed me in the face. I didn't want you to get too worried." And here they start talking, and he says, "How about we put some ice on that?" And he's already spent hours trying to talk me out of the mask, he says, and all we can do now is pray that I don't know anything more than an ice pack. And at this point, then it flash forwards to Perry White and Jimmy, right?
Yep. So they're going, it just starts with Jimmy in his photo lab developing some photos, and they're chit-chatting about, the goings-on, and the chief, he's asking about the photos, and Jimmy's just like, "Really? You want me to take photos of these people grieving at a funeral?" And the main reason we even go here, I guess eventually, we're going to get the whole Lois reveal, but instead they actually cut to Jean Loring, who has been recently divorced from the Atom, and things are immediately terrible. There's broken pictures, there's a broken cup of coffee, and she's asking Ray for help because he was talking to him on the phone, it looks like. So all of a sudden, she is hanging by a door, gagged, and that's where this issue ends.
She's being hung, too.
Yeah, that's what I said. Hanged on a door, gagged.
I'm catching up to you.
Sure. No, I'm loading anyway the next issue, so good old digital. Lots of loading.
So Jean's hanging from the back of the door. She's trying to say help.
Mm-hmm.
Her feet goes straight, and at this point, Adam can travel through the phone. Remember that Adam can travel through the phone. He travels through the phone. He hits jumps into the rope, and then he enlarges himself so that he can save his wife or his ex-wife.
Yeah.
And man, there is a scene here. Save image. I gotta show you this because this all leads into all kinds of crazy shit that happens in the DC universe. I'm trying to think. Either what was it? 52 came. Was it Countdown or?
Oh, with Ray Palmer, it was all Countdown.
Yeah. So there's a scene in Countdown where they try to bring Sue back. Do you remember that?
I skipped most of Countdown. I'm sorry. I did not like the first half of it, so I just gave up on it. It was no 52 at all.
And then what came after that? It was Countdown, and then oh my god!
I think it was Trinity after that with like the Bagley stuff. And
what was 52?
52 was immediately after Infinite Crisis. That had Elongated Man's story in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and like it actually had like several branching stories because what happened was DC went 1 year later. 52 filled in that 1 year gap, but the feature players of 52 were not featured purposely in any of the 1 year laters. That way, you wouldn't know their fate after 52. That way, if they get killed off in 52, that's not spoiled in another book, basically.
Trinity was awful.
Yeah, I didn't read much. The only reason I kind of respect and kind of want to read Trinity is because Mark Bagley literally drew every issue of that
every week.
2 weeks. So that's an impressive feat all on its own.
Wasn't that weekly?
Yes.
Oh my god.
It was weekly. Mark Bagley is a beast.
Well, he was doing that on Spider-Man there.
Every other week was Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah, he did those every 2 weeks for a long time.
Wow. Okay. Sorry.
But yeah, Adam saves his ex-wife, went through the phone. That was awesome. Cool little scene right there. And then we immediately cut to the investigation of how this came about. So they got Mr. Miracle trying to figure out how, the hero security system has been broken for the second time now, because we kind of skipped over that detail when Sue got killed off. Like, these heroes have all got like state-of-the-art like alien security systems because they're, they need them because they're superheroes with secret identities. But this time, instead of bringing in like a whole team of people, like my boy Animal Man, who got half a panel and was covered up by a thought bubble. That's how much screen time Animal Man got before 52 weeks. But nonetheless, instead of bringing in people like Animal Man, they were bringing Superman because the Green Arrow says, we just went to the top this time. We're not kidding around anymore. The threat is more serious now than it was before to all of our loved ones instead of just the elongated man.
I got to read this dialogue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Superman comes in. He says he used a bowline knot. A what? A bowline knot to tie the other end to the noose to the door. They call it a bowline knot, though he added a Dutch Marine twist. He said, and you recognize that? Question mark. It's a common Boy Scout knot.
And then Green Arrow just goes, I love him and hate him in the very same breath.
It says Boy Scout, right? Oracle, can you already on it? Bowline knots with a Dutch Marine twist. So it's kind of cool that like they're giving the glimpse back, but you're gonna get super pissed off at the end of this book when you find out what happened. Because this book actually made me angry.
Really?
You think it's going to be this big reveal, right? Mm-hmm. And then the reveal is M. Night Shyamalan. What a twist!
I don't see that.
Did you see it coming?
Not really. Sure didn't.
So his name is Slipknot. Real name Christopher Weiss. So now they're on the path of a new killer. And this is where's Slipknot these days? Opal City Penitentiary, serving 5 to 10 for shoplifting and all things. 10 years for shoplifting, that's the Suicide Squad. They'll set you free, but one mistake and they'll ram you for it. If you guys remember in the Suicide Squad movie, this is synchronicity in its own right.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Slipknot had the quickest roll ever. He died in like super fast in the movie.
Yep, he sure did. Good old Suicide. What a movie that was.
I liked it. I just hated Jared Leto.
He didn't need to be there. I mean, I was just indifferent toward the Joker, but he didn't need to be in that movie at all.
Did you see the preview for Birds of Prey?
Yeah, it looks interesting. I just wish it featured the Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I like Margot Robbie as Harley as well as anyone else, but come on, we got Mary Elizabeth Winstead as the Huntress, and she's just in the background. Like, no, I want to see more of her and the other Birds of Prey, and like, just call it a Harley Quinn movie if that's what you want to make. Don't put the Birds of Prey in it. Just throw more characters at the wall. And
I like Black Mask doesn't wear a black mask.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably will. But hey, Ewan McGregor, we're not covering up that face, I guess. But anyway, back to the story here. I do like I said, I think the Green Arrow dialogue is the best when Superman's around, just because he's just so snarky. But then, like, when Superman gets serious, he gets pretty dang serious too. So he goes, "There's a rumble in Clark's voice that he usually reserves just for Bruce." So I guess even Superman doesn't like Batman either at this point. It's kind of funny. At first, I thought it was just anger or annoyance. It's not. It's fear. The killer systematically targeting our lives, and bulletproof skin is useless against grief. So this is in the next scene we get, one-arm Slipknot. So he's probably not going to be able to make Superman's Boy Scout knots with one arm too well. And this is where you get like probably about, I think it's the only appearance of Wonder Woman in the whole story besides the funeral scene. And she doesn't even, like, it just shows her hip.
In her hand.
Yeah, in her hand. That's right. So making Slipknot cry through a bunch of bars. So, and that was it.
And they're all trying to figure out what's going on at this point.
Yep. They're still scattering, trying to figure things out here.
Now, the villains also are on the run at this point because people are getting targeted. People are getting blamed.
Yes.
Other people, so they're all on the run.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, they've heard that the Justice League mind wiped Dr. Light. And this changes the game completely. And
yeah, the gloves are off, and they're basically being more harassed than they usually should be by the heroes. So they're all, I mean, it's high panic. So they're getting desperate.
So
and then
at
it
this
cuts
point,
to
you've got
Captain Boomerang back in his car. Go ahead, Chad.
No, that's what I was going to say. In Central City, you got Captain Boomerang and the Calculator having a conversation. And you see where it says he's holding an Inquirer, and it says Golden Glider and Boomerang had a love child and left him for adoption. Well, he finally gets to meet the new Captain Boomerang. Well, soon to be new Captain Boomerang.
Yeah, and surprisingly, his son is kind of warmed up to the fact that here's his dad. He just shows up to his window, and Boomerang's like, crap, I got spotted. And the dude just goes, "You're Captain Boomerang, aren't you?" It's like, "Are you my dad?" And I guess, he's been reading the tabloids. He probably did the tabloid interview, actually. So, so they actually start to bond a little bit, and he gets in the car with his estranged father. So then after that, we cut to the Batcave, and you finally get a little bit of Batman action here.
And you can tell Batman's like in a bad mood because he's got those points on his shoulders.
Yeah.
He's not quite Azrael, but he's still kind of pointy at this point. And his ears, God, they're so long.
They break through that panel all nice and everything.
They do, man. What's up with that?
They're not Bloodlines or Elseworlds long, but they're fairly long. We love our Batman long ears on here on the Comic Core. But this is where we start getting the ultimate question in this comic: who benefits? So you'll see this come up with a lot. So this is where it starts going scene by scene, and some of the characters, like it kind of looks so far on some of this, like some of these scenes are just random. Like, why is Captain Boomerang here? Why do we cut to the calculator? Why is there Tim Drake Robin so much? So when you go through who benefits, it starts like Batman. It's almost like we're seeing through Batman's eyes a little bit here, because you see Captain Boomerang bonding with his son for the first time. So who benefits? Captain Boomerang. He's a suspect. Next up, you see Calculator, which, I mean, he's rolling in the dough right now. All these villains are panicking. They're hiring each other, and he's getting their cut. So he's benefiting big time. They even cut the poor elongated man, who's kind of taking a lot of this issue off. And it says, Mr. Dibney, this is Stuart Carl from the insurance company. I know it's probably isn't the best time, but your wife's passing. Well, her family has a significant insurance policy. So who benefits? Even the elongated man. And then Merlin, it's like, hey, Merlin, want to make $3,000? So Merlin's even in the who benefits column. And then Robin and his dad, Jack, are spending more time together because of all this craziness. So yeah, who benefits?
Now Ollie's kind of at a loss at this point, because they can't figure out who's committed these crimes. So he goes to the graveyard to talk to his best friend, who's dead, and who appears in front of him as the Spectre. At this time, Hal Jordan was the Spectre. And he talks to him for a little bit as the Spectre, but then he goes into Hal's form and starts talking to him, and they have a conversation. And he asks, hey, you're the Spectre. Tell me who did it. And he says, so why the visit? Sue's dead. They attacked Jean. You know who did it, don't you? He says, I can't say. He goes, but you know, don't you? You know who killed her. And he explains to him, like, tons of people are killed all the time. Unfortunately, I just can't tell you. And it's not for me to decide what. And then it just goes on for a little bit. And he realizes, when are you really coming back? He says, I'm working on it. And then it flash forwards to Metropolis. And we've got Lois, who is working at the Daily Planet. She's working on, and she has Lois Lane personal private letter on her desk. And it says, Lois, I know who your husband with an S, like a Superman, is, and it says you're next. And that's the end of that issue.
Yeah, so, I just really like that bonding scene between Hal and Ollie. I mean, it just shows like their whole relationship in a few pages. Like, they're super thrilled to see each other at first, but then immediately, like, he's the Spectre, he can't answer. So there's that little bit of animosity that's always like between those two best friends, but then they kind of make up real quick. And it's just like, well, you know, when are you coming back? Because it's comic books. We know you're coming back. And he's just like, I'm working on it. Because ironically, also, Jeff Johns was working on it, because Green Lantern Rebirth #1, I believe, just came out around this time as well. So look at that. I got Drew in the chat. What's up, Drew?
Yeah, Drew, there was a bondage scene, but it wasn't. I mean,
you didn't even see Wonder Woman the whole scene. You saw her hip, and yeah, poor Slipknot. His head is still stuck in between the bars. Because I literally don't think we see Slipknot ever again after this.
No.
He's
I mean, you see the Titans here in a little bit, because everybody, the next issue, like, there's an old saying, don't tug on Superman's cape. And at this point, the villains are on the run. They are pissed. They think it's gone too far. Merlin attacks.
Gotta say real quick, though, I think this is my favorite cover.
Yeah. And all the second printings were done in red.
Yeah, I kind of want that second printing, actually. It looks better in red on the backgrounds where the white's at.
Yeah, the whole thing is in red, and it's very ominous.
But sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No,
let's take that real quick.
So the story starts out, we have Merlin, and who is the guy with the monocle?
Let's see. Oh, God, who is that? I forget right this second.
Is it Monocle?
Yeah, it's the Monopoly guy.
So
I can't remember. I'll remember here in a few, hopefully. But definitely a headshot there.
Yeah, Deadshot, and they attack. They go in after Ollie, and Ollie knew that they were coming, and his Justice League breaks in, and they jump in and attack. It's kind of cool though, because there's a Deadshot versus Green Lantern. Please, it says, and Deadshot versus Green Lantern. Please, not when Cal's ready for him. Deadshot decides to call his bluff. Are you nuts? He shoots at him. The bullet goes straight through his own neck. The blood comes quickly. Cal panics even quicker. And that's exactly what Deadshot was banking on, because at that point he shoots Cal right in the face.
Yeah.
Deadshot was willing to shoot himself in order to take out Cal Reiner. So,
yeah,
as
Deadshot
Deadshot
runs face first into a Superman shield, and he doesn't even. I don't even think he gets punched. He just kind of gets knocked out from there. Like Superman just grabs him by the throat, and it's done.
That's right. Okay, so at the time, and this is happening everywhere. You got the Titans taking. You have Cyborg and Starfire taking on somebody, and then it says the Outsiders. I forgot Dick was leading the Outsiders.
Yeah, they just started the Outsiders run too.
That run of the Outsiders was phenomenal.
Yeah, I actually kind of want to read that whole run. I've only read bits and pieces because sometimes it tied into the Titans.
It was really good. But I forget who all was on that team. I think Metamorphosis was on there.
I think it had Metamorpho, obviously Nightwing.
Chick that was super, super strong, had tattoos up and down her arms.
Yeah, they eventually had like that version of like a female Brainiac, I think, or something like that. He was taken over by Brainiac.
Yeah.
And eventually a certain character that's being developed in this story is on the Outsiders, I believe. I think. The Boomerang guy.
Oh, yeah.
I think he becomes an outsider.
Yeah, you're right. And then even the reserves were in there because you see, now you see Ted Kord. I think this is the only appearance of Ted Kord.
Yeah, he looks like he just woke up.
I mean,
it's like, oh, God.
How big his goggles are.
He's like, don't set the person on fire. He's going to smell like Firehawk's like got the dude by the throat, but her arm was on fire.
Well, they all
like half of it.
Do you notice that they all have the villains by the neck?
Yeah.
I mean, from Ollie with the bow against Merlin. I have no clue who that dude is that Cyborg's got.
Oh, Connor Hawk must have been on the Outsiders because Nightwing is like strangling a guy, but he has a Connor Hawk bow through his shoulder.
Yep. And then you got Wildcat.
Oh, and then this is probably like the one scene that like was like, seriously, this is the one that made me the most mad with Firestorm. So I guess they had to have this example scene where, you know, our heroes aren't just going to go and mop the floor with the villains. They're going to do something really stupid and someone's going to get really hurt. And unfortunately, kind of like Doomsday Clock now, I guess it's poor Firestorm. Ronnie Raymond can't catch a break. So here, like he's fighting and he gets stabbed with a freaking sword.
To the heart.
And yeah, and you know, anytime somebody named the Nuclear Man gets stabbed through with a sword, he's going to explode. So unfortunately, poor Ronnie Raymond, I think in a couple panels here, he's going to blow up.
Shazam tells him to fly away.
Yeah, Shazam's like, no. So I think in this point in the DC continuity, and by the way, what is up to my first subscriber ever, Fish Tropic? What's going on, man?
Fish Tropic.
Yeah, Fish. But they started the new. Actually, it might have been a year after this. I feel like they started the new Firestorm comic with the new Firestorm. Trying to think of that character because I think they stopped using that character too, but it was a different version of Firestorm. If you remember,
Firestorm's just never been like around. Like him and Captain Atom. Think about that.
He was around decent in Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's about the only time I feel like.
And Captain Atom, I mean,
yeah, because he had that whole storyline with Killer Frost, where she was really mad at him because, you know, hero, villain, what have you. And Psycho Pirate was on that team at the time too. The Monitor brought him in, And it's like, all right, enough of this animosity BS. You know what? You love Firestorm, and she literally had to love Firestorm because Psycho Pirate's powers. So that was fun.
But we have a very touching moment. We have the Adam and the divorced Mrs. Adam,
Old Jean,
having a conversation, and at this point they reconcile because he came and he saved her, right?
Mm-hmm. Who benefits?
And then right after that is when he blows up.
Well, yeah. See, this was the one thing I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. This is stupid. Like it has nothing else. Like I don't think they mention it again in this whole story.
Dude, I think this might be the only time that they said that Captain Boomerang was a speedster.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he ever used that power.
I don't, like I said, I don't remember, like, as I read a few Outsiders, I don't know if they allude to it at all.
I mean, okay, so now we have father and son training and throwing boomerangs, and he throws one, and Captain Boomerang's about to get it right in the head, and fortunately, younger Captain Boomerang is a speedster. And he says, "You have speed." What? My son has speed. Golden Glider isn't my mother, is she?
Nope.
Nope. Who is his mother?
That's what I was going to ask you. Was it turned out to be like Jessie Quick or somebody? It's the only female speedster I could think of.
Did he get mind wiped too? Did he like?
No one knows. We have to look all this up.
I'm like
another fact we won't find out in Identity Crisis.
Super confused.
So it's just like, let's see. All the other speedsters I know are male. So really, I think that only leaves Jessie Quick. Because Excess is from the 30th century. And a Legionnaire. That's the only other one I can think of.
Well, Wally's kids, but they're not even born yet.
Oh, they don't exist in the storyline yet. Well, they're basically they're not born yet. You're right. That was
But remember them? They were born and then
the Tornado Twins.
They aged like in a day.
Yeah, because they were stuck in the Speed Force with Superboy Prime.
Oh, that's
right. That whole thing. Yeah, that's when Bart came back as the Flash.
Yeah.
Because he aged too. Somehow Wally didn't. I don't know how that worked. But anyway.
See, now this is like, now that I know like what happens in the story, and I know we're trying to tell the story.
Yeah.
As I see the notes, I'm getting pissed. I'm getting okay. So after that, we have an interaction between Tim and his father, and they're basically saying you should go, definitely go, and because he was going to quit. Now his dad's alone because his mom recently passed away. Tim, he hears something? He says, "Tim, did you come back?" And there's a box on the kitchen table. He opens it up, and it says Jack Drake with the R in red and a circle. And it says protect yourself. And now he's laying on the ground with a gun. And he calls Oracle. "Sir, can I help you? I'm looking for Robin. I think my life might be in danger." And go on. Now there's still there, man. This woman is not like, they're not done doing this autopsy on her yet.
Yeah.
It was like days.
They're looking for something. Like she's in little pieces by now, but they're about to find the one piece that matters here in a few. But I do have to say, like, in terms of like just tension sequences in a comic book, like I don't know if I've ever really read anything else where the tension is higher between panels and pages here.
I'm getting anxiety.
You have Jack Drake pulling the gun out and protecting yourself, and then meanwhile, they're like Dr. Midnight's about to blow the lid off of what's actually happened to Sue Dibney. And then it goes back to Jack Drake trying to protect himself for whatever is about to hit. And then you cut to Batman and Robin in the Batmobile with Oracle's like, Tim, you got to get home now. And then it cuts back and forth between Tim and his father, Jack. And you hear the door getting kicked in from the back. And who is it? It's Captain Boomerang, gut hanging out and all. And meanwhile, Jack's got
but going up to that point, I mean, panel for Mr. Drake, I've got him. Listen to me. If something happens, tell him I love him. Understand, make sure he hears that. Barbara, patch me in. Tim, Dad, are you okay? Slam, I'm fine. I think he's in the hallway. I've got it, though. I'm fine. Dad, this isn't some African safari. Get out of there. He's definitely in the hallway. Barbara, call Wally. I already tried, Bruce. He's not picking up. Bruce, please help him. And then the face on Bruce, because he can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's right now, the anxiety is palpable.
And then meanwhile, I forgot to even mention Captain Boomerang's son is listening to an answering machine message. I know it seems kind of old school at this point, but he's listening to this answering machine message from his dad talking about, he's just like, so anyway, I can't wait. Or what was the message? He's like, I just wanted to say how great it was to be with you today. Anyway, if you have some time, make sure to watch the news tonight. Your old dad's finally going to make you proud. Don't worry. This is the one, lad. I mean, the real one that puts me back on the map, or I mean us back on the map. So he knows his dad's about to do something terrible, and he doesn't want to see that happen. It's probably, not probably, but it results in a shootout with a gun and a boomerang. And Jack actually, I believe Jack shoots first, hits Boomerang a few times, and then Boomerang gets one boomerang off. It lands in Jack Drake's chest. So the final panels of this book are just both of them laying on the floor. Almost feels like Reservoir Dogs. Both sitting there bleeding out and dying. And that's where we end chapter 5. Father's Day is what this book is called.
And if we go back, and here's the panel that I was talking about, but like that top right corner, you can see Bruce is just like, oh shit. And then if you scroll down,
and someone else,
he says, not again. We're gonna make it, Dad. We're gonna make it. And then, oh my God, the door and the tears are just draping down Tim's face, and you will sweat reading this issue just because you know what's going to happen. You don't want it to happen. Tim's kind of like this character that everybody you just like, I mean, he's just a good kid.
I do want to talk about Tim for a second here. I've been reading the Teen Titans run, and Jeff Johns just kind of writes him. He's very methodical. He's very quiet, but he's extremely smart. He's just as good, if not a better detective than Batman. So usually his portrayal in Titans is, he's buddy with Cassie, Wonder Girl, and Superboy Connor Kent. But usually he's just dark and broody. But when you see him at the open of this one, he's having to strip his costume off for when the cops show up, and he doesn't want the cops to see him as Robin. And he's just a bloody hot mess. But we got Drew Manchu joining us. What's up? He says, eat meat.
Eat meat, drink beer. This is my Shiner shirt. I wore it to work. And I just got on the Joker.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
yeah. That's why I wasn't on the show tonight.
You like it?
No.
Okay. Well, we can say that. Did you read? You've read Identity Crisis, right?
I have. It's been a while, but I did read it.
I mean, we're just like going over this, and
I was hearing you guys like all the way home in the car.
It is actually. I didn't realize how well written this was.
Yeah, no, I really like Brad Meltzer's DC stuff. I really do.
I enjoyed that series. I think that it left a lot of things hanging in the air. But overall, the major points really worked.
Like I said, the Firestorm thing, not a fan of that. And the whole, who is, the new Boomerang's mom?
You're never a fan of Firestorm.
Not here. Apparently, none of the writers are either.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jeff Johns likes him, puts him in that Doomsday Clock.
He kind of gets the same treatment, though, like I was saying earlier. Like, he was like the doofus they had to send and get Superman in trouble, basically.
Yeah. I agree.
So we'll just jump into it. It jumps in with Dick tearing off his clothes, trying to get to his dad, and Batman just holding him while he's just like completely breaking down. But there's a scene here now where the new speedster. I can't believe he's a speedster. I had no clue he was a speedster. The new Captain Boomerang.
Yeah.
But anyway,
can I talk about the splash panel real quick before I go back to that? I mean, another probably maybe Rags Morales' best work in the whole book is just the splash panel. It just says, "I've got you," and it's Batman. He's hugging Robin, and you just see that panicked freaking.
Is that before or after he stripped his clothes off?
That was after.
Well, kind of during and after, because he's still got part of the Robin outfit on, because he's a mess. He's just in a panic. But it just kind of reminds me of that eyeball scene from the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where the lady's in a panic, and it's just the super zoom in on the eye, and it's just a very haunting image.
Yeah, especially with his dad laying there with a.
Yeah, it just says Batman and Robin, orphans. It seems like it's just a broken record at this point for Batman. It's every Robin he has taken has just faced tragedy, unfortunately, and where he was really hoping Tim would be the one that would, fly straight, basically. Or Dick had what happened with his parents, and then Jason got blown up with his mother after he got crowbarred to death. So obviously that was bad, and now this happened to Tim.
So then we have the speedster Boomerang jump in, and he says, "I'm looking for my father, Captain Digger Harkins." And he says, "What do you mean I can't see the body? He's my father. Tell me where you took him. Son, do we look stupid to you? No, how many times we've been through this?" And then he's like, "Hey, just tell me who it is." And he says, "What's he doing there? I don't know what you're talking about. Him? Who are you talking about? Batman. He's right there." He says, "Let me say it again, son. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no one here but us agents." And then he walks him away, and that you can see it's resonating. But I got to tell you, the art's been okay. Like I said, it's been a solid B, right? And I'm not 100% sure, but it kind of took a slight turn. I mean, we went
Connor Hawk, man.
We went full on this.
Can you pull that up for the chat?
Yeah, I mean,
someone get the bowl out. Connor Hawk had to go get himself his old bowl cut here.
He went full
my
on.
God. I don't know what happened to the art there. You're absolutely right. As soon as I flipped that up, we got to talk about this haircut.
Simple Jack.
I mean, it's funny because it's in the same book as this panel. This is the best panel in the whole book, and then what you have on the screen is something happened there. Definitely. I don't remember him looking that bad earlier in his other panel he was in. But yeah, definitely took a nosedive, like you said. They're like, we forgot to draw Oliver in this scene. He's basically the main character of the book. He should probably be at least one scene where they're grieving. So I feel like he just drew that real quick and threw it in the book. But you do get some nice other stuff here of people kind of grasping their family and pulling them in closer. So it says, "We've all lost brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, and wives," and it shows pictures of Hal Jordan, Geoforce grieving Tara, Aquaman, and Martian Manhunter kind of thinking about their loved ones. And then once again, when it says wives, it shows the elongated man, crying about Sue Dibney, of course. And it continues with husbands, mothers, and fathers, and definitely fathers and mothers. It shows young Bruce and Alfred standing over the grave. And then it shows all of the Robins standing over their grave. And it has to be Bruce apologizing every time. Oh, actually, hey,
he's sorry.
Wonder Woman here, at least.
He's sorry they're all dead.
Yeah.
It's really his fault when you think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then this is where they actually end up telling Wally. I mean, this issue is kind of like a filler issue. It's just kind of like telling more of the story, getting everybody back together. There's nothing really revealed up until
Monocle. It is Monocle, by the way.
I thought so. Up until the point where they tell Wally that they brainwashed Bruce as well. That is funny.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the pages to load here, but you at least get Dr. Light sitting there brooding, figuring out his next move, which unfortunately I think his next move takes place in Teen Titans.
It says so when Ollie finally tells tells Wally about it. It says, "So that's it. Bruce still has no idea. Believe me, Wally. The man's a detective. He always has an idea." And this is the calculator. No, it's me. And he's going back and forth. And now you've got Batman coming on. I mean, he's on the hunt at this point, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
He's
I always have to talk about this whole scene right here, how it kind of set up Batman for the next couple years, in my opinion, in the big storylines, because when he gets mind wiped and Green Arrow's like, he has an idea of what happened. You better believe Batman knows what happened, and he's not happy about it. So basically, this is where he becomes bitter. He's always just angry. Him and the other heroes, there's definitely a divide there. But I think the biggest thing that falls out of it is the development of the OMAC project, which Batman created OMAC basically so we'd have like a countermeasures against not only all the villains, but if the heroes went rogue too, kind of like they've been doing here. And that obviously sets up a lot of what happens in Infinite Crisis.
And yeah, and like now he's not trusting anybody. It says he's talking to the calculator trying to figure it out, and he's going to the calculator.
Yeah.
But the calculator and him are having a conversation, and it says, "Merlin's the last thing I want is to send my friend to their death. That's no way to run a business. No, I know, but if you didn't do all of this, who the hell did?" And back at the JSA headquarters, she has been on an autopsy table now for a month and a half. You got to see this. It says, it's Batman. I spend the next few hours in the cave staring at the puzzle pieces. Calculator's innocence is harder to process than I thought. And then it says, "You see it? What am I even looking at?" And this is a medulla oblongata.
Something wrong with your medulla oblongata.
It's her brain, and what it actually is caused by is an atom rupturing, right? So who did this?
The
That's
atom.
how she died. I checked every point of entry, accounted for the teleporters, even called Jason Blood to hunt down traces of magic. Room for former leaguers are particularly airtight. Even the air pressure controlled, we've got it down to the last molecule. Oh no. And that's when they realize they see 2 feet print on the brain. So whoever did this is someone who could shrink down to oh God, you don't think he did it. Now they all think it's the atom. It says, "John, get out of my head. Just find him now." Boom, boom, boom. Lo and behold, but Captain, where does it happen? She kind of...
That's the regular Atom toward the end. So Chris Barrett asked a long time ago, about 3 issues back, like, so does the Atom bone his ex-wife or what? So the answer was yes. And you see the final scene of this comic is them, they're cleaning up, they're back in bed together, and they're kind of like, I still can't believe Captain Boomerang. I mean, who killed Sue? That's who attacked me, Captain Boomerang. And they're like, why are you so surprised? You've been trying to kill all of us for years. And they're just discussing, and then they start to flirt again. But luckily, by the end of the issue, the art is back up to like the B status, because Ray Palmer's face, like, he just drew him to look like a serial killer at this point.
Yeah,
and then
he's creepy as hell.
Yeah, he definitely drew him creepy as hell, just to let it sink in. That,
like, he looks a little rapey, and she's like, all right.
Yeah, definitely capable of committing this crime. Like, just they drew the darkness under the eyes, and then they turned off the lights. And you're like, what is about to happen? So, and that's where issue 6 ends. So, what did you guys think about that ending?
It's right what it needs to be honest. It's like Batman finally is starting to realize what's going on, and Ray Palmer is a murderous bastard.
Well,
or is he?
Or is he?
Right off the bat in issue 7, what's her name? Jean
Loring?
Yeah.
Loading up now.
Right off in the beginning, she admits that she's the one that has done all this shit.
Right.
And he slams on the lights. He's like, answer me, tell me what happened.
Well, first, let's slow down here, because they're having this conversation, and some of the details she's giving out don't line up. So the main one is the note that Jack Drake had where the R and the red was circled like Robin. And that's when it hits Ray. He goes, "How did you know there was a note?" And then even Batman has already caught on to it because, he's the world's greatest detective. He goes, "Ray, there's no way it was Ray." And then that's when we kind of, officially find out Jean Loring killed Sue Dibney.
I'm a big fan of this panel right here at the bottom where she's got her jubblies hanging out. But she also has Forrest Whitaker eye at the same time. She's got like real droopy eye, but she got droopy boobies too. I'm not sure if that's good art or bad art.
She gets kind of creepy. And
yeah. There's some Eclipso craziness that happens with her later, where she gets really weird.
All right, so we're at Arkham now.
Yep, that didn't take long. Well, I guess we could explain like the whole what the mind thought was. So she's basically, it goes back to once again the question, who benefits? And she didn't mean to kill Jean Loring, or Jean Loring didn't mean to kill Sue Dibney. She missed her husband, and she wanted to cause some hubbub in the hero community. So she basically went and tried to, casually attack Sue, I guess, of all people, because she knew one of the strongest relationships would be Sue and the Elongated Man. So when she got attacked, they knew that all of the husbands and wives in the hero community they'd bond back together or get closer. But unfortunately, she had no clue what she's doing because she's not the Atom. She just stole the Atom suit and was messing around with it. And unfortunately, she accidentally killed Sue and then decided to basically burn the body to try to frame Dr. Light, or, a Dr. Light type villain, basically.
Look, man, sometimes you got to burn a Sue Dibney.
You gotta kill a bitch.
And then to take so she would make the trail cold. She tried to frame up herself by hanging herself in her own home. So she orchestrated all that, of course. And she was also kind of manipulating the calculator too into doing all the villainous things he did as well.
Yeah, she tried to pull one of them Kane and Kung Fu's.
So after they put her in I'll do this really fast because it's 12.
Yeah, that's why I'm guys they did this because of that. Let's go.
The Atom goes crazy and just leaves.
Yeah, he just shrinks down so no one can find him.
And that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I don't think you really find out what happens with the Atom until Countdown, which I think this was published late 2004, early 2005, mostly, if I remember right. And I think Countdown was pretty much 07 and 08. Well, so it was a couple years. He just stayed off the radar completely.
I remember in Countdown though,
because I think it's like the Donna Troy, Jason Todd, and I think Roy Harper go and find him basically, or something weird.
Yeah, but there's a weird there's like a cult that is trying to bring her back.
Right. Well, no, you're thinking
the cult of Sue Dibney.
Yeah, you're thinking of 52 because Cassie joined the cult because they're wanting to bring back Sue Dibney and Connor Kent.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
right.
Right.
Because Connor Kent is Superboy. Sue Dibney is Sue Dibney.
Yeah.
And they bring Sue Dibney's face shows up on a doll that's on fire. Remember? It falls.
Yeah, because I think they bury up they dig up her corpse to get the wedding ring.
Yeah.
And that's when Elongated Man comes into 52 because he's trying to investigate who messed with his wife's remains.
Yeah.
And he finds out about that cult. So 52 is great. It takes all kinds of twists and turns. Highly recommend it.
There was it countdown to 52 and then, or just something? Because I remember when they got to
Countdown to Infinite Crisis. Okay. That's the ultimate Ted Kord story. It was the best Ted Kord story ever, and he dies at the end of it. So it came at a price for him, basically. But it's an 80-page, and it's a phenomenal read throughout the entire thing.
Well, since we have Drew, you give us your review on the Joker. Let me grab some. Let me grab a drink though.
Yeah, you might need one. Have you seen it yet? You guys seen it yet? Anybody seen it yet?
I might go see it tomorrow.
It's worth seeing. I'm going to go ahead and say that it's worth seeing. All of the news that says that this movie is like a love letter to incel violence and like 8chan message boards and basically losers being celebrated as heroes for becoming violent. Yeah, that's all absolutely true. This movie is 110% tone deaf to modern politics. It's just, there are parts of this movie that I really enjoyed. There were scenes in this movie that are extremely well shot, paired well with great music. The visuals are impressive. The story is not good. Its ties to DC continuity are fucking awful. Spoiler alert, there's a scene with pearls. There's a pearl scene. And it, like at the end of the day, it was too long. Overall kind of boring. And anything that is redeemable about this movie is kind of erased by how tone deaf it is. I think that it was distasteful and not very good. There's not a lot here to talk about. I'll be honest. A lot of it is like a character study of Joaquin Phoenix. Like he does a great job in certain parts of this movie portraying this character.
It's really about mental health, though, isn't it?
But it's not. It's like a slap in the face to mental health is really what it is. It's like I don't want to ruin it because like when it really ramps up, it's fun to watch. But ultimately, the message of this movie is extremely tone deaf and distasteful. It's just not good. It's a celebration of evil is really what it is. It's glorified madness. And anybody who's like, oh no, it's we're taking a look at it because we want people to take it. No, they're not. They're not. It was a madman being violent for the sake of being violent. And hey, dude, like there's something to be said for Joaquin Phoenix's performance in this movie, but the script is terrible. It's the narrative is kind of nonsensical, and it insists upon you believing unbelievable things and then it telling you basically that you're crazy for believing them, just in the way that the story is presented. Overall, man, it's like there are a lot of really good things in this movie. There are a lot of really good visuals. It was shot beautifully. The music is really good. The sound design is fantastic, and the points where it wants to shock you, it shocks you. Overall, though, I think that as a message, Todd Phillips needs to go back to making hangover movies, man, because it's just not he's trying to make a political statement, I believe, and it's not well received. I think that everybody who has been judging this movie before they see it based on the bits and pieces they've been given, they're absolutely right, and it's a celebration of domestic terrorism is really all it is. Should you go see it? I don't know. Judge it for yourself. If you think that you want to see a Joker movie, go see it. That's all I'm going to say. I as far as political leanings, I don't care. It's not really up to me to say, but it's definitely a celebration of the kind of person who would be angry, who would shoot. It's basically the celebration of the kind of person that would shoot up a school or shoot up a theater, like who would commit these acts. It's a celebration of that. 110% it is. Now it's a beautiful celebration of that. And it's the acting is really good. But overall it took too long to get where it was going, to be honest. But I would say that the last half hour of the movie is worth sitting through the first 2 hours. but don't expect to be enlightened by it. And don't take it too seriously. But there's a lot about this movie that, like, it earns its controversy. It earns.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, like there's a line right before, and there's some murderous psychotic behavior of this character before, like, the big climax moment that is kind of his calling card that he shows to the world. And right before that moment, he utters a line that is like, oh my God, how can Todd Phillips say that this isn't what all the left-leaning media is saying it is? Because the line is exactly what he's saying this movie isn't.
Oh, wow.
It's like very blatant. I don't want to say that I didn't enjoy it. There are definitely things about it that were good. Overall, though, man, it was a weird movie.
See, I if it's a weird movie, I'll probably enjoy it. I mean,
there are definitely things to enjoy about it.
I mean, if it's, again, it's a standalone movie, right?
I mean, they're not going to make a sequel to this movie,
and they're not going to use him.
And you know what? I would doubt that they would use him, because that would make him, in his damn near his 80s by the time Bruce is an adult.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a 40-year-old man in this movie, and Bruce is an 8-year-old child. And the Bruce Wayne stuff is like completely fucking shoehorned into it.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, and it's weird, and it's just like child molester creepy.
Okay.
And it's like they want you, like, this whole movie, like Todd Phillips even says, like, oh, we're not, supporting this and that. The first scene of the movie is basically the whole movie is about making him a sympathetic character. The entire thing is about sympathizing with this twisted murderer. And it makes you sympathize with him before he's a twisted murderer. And it's just, it doesn't work in a lot of ways because there's no Batman in it. Like, there's no.
Oh, well, I mean, we talked about,
like, no opposition to this guy.
We were talking about it earlier before we even started talking about Identity Crisis. The Birds of Prey. We saw the trailer.
Here's the difference with that. I
That's
actually
Harley
saw the trailer.
Quinn.
Right. I saw the trailer though, and I said to myself, okay, they're taking the Deadpool approach to this. They're being like, this is Harley Quinn. This is how she sees the world. We're going to show you the world through her eyes. And I think that makes it, in my opinion, a little bit more interesting than the saccharine sweet Suicide Squad 2 I thought we were going to get. I think it lends more credence to the storytelling of that story through her eyes, that I think that just seeing this play out through her lens is going to be more interesting than what I thought the movie would be.
But it really felt like a Suicide Squad. Like it has that, the way it's shot.
I think it looks like, I think it's supposed to be, like, production wise, supposed to look kind of like the Suicide Squad stuff, because that's what she knows of Harley Quinn. And she, as a producer, is like, well, this is what sold in Hot Topic. Let's do that. This is what worked for this. Let's do that. And I'm okay with that. But the fact that they're throwing the hyenas in, and they're making it her inner monologue about dealing with Joker, and I guess it's Black Mask, is Ewan McGregor. Yeah. That's fine. I'm not expecting much out of this flick. I'll tell you that much right now. But I am expecting to enjoy it more being told as a Harley Quinn POV movie than I thought I was going to enjoy it as just a random bad bitches get together and, set it off style movie.
I think the movie that, in my opinion, that is going to save DC, and they're only going to get one out of him, well, maybe, because it looks like this cast is having a blast, is going to be Suicide Squad 2.
Well, I save DC is kind of a hard. Well,
I mean, kind of reinvent it.
They've already decided that they're going in a direction where they're not trying to do a cohesive universe, and I think that for their purposes, they've never been able to do it. So you quit while you're ahead. In a lot of ways, that's kind of a good idea. But I don't think Joker is going to be the movie that people think it's going to be. People are like, "Oh, Oscar bait."
I don't think Wonder Woman.
Based on politics alone, I don't see that being even remotely a possibility.
I don't think Wonder Woman 84 is going to be anything.
Oh, I thought the first Wonder Woman was garbage, though.
I mean,
that third act of that movie is very problematic. It's very fanforstic. It's like, oh, here's the shit we shoehorned in here at the end, and magical floating Professor Lupin is here, and he's got gold lightning or whatever, and you thought the other guy was the bad guy the whole time.
I think
Professor Lupin all along.
I think they're going to win with the Crisis. I think that's going to be fun, but I don't think it's going to be $160 million fun.
That's how much they're putting into that.
No, Marvel's each series, 6 episode series, is $160 million.
Well, hell yeah, it is, because it's Kevin Feige and he knows what he's doing. The guy's gonna come and save Star Wars. Like,
yeah, and I just think it's, and we were touching on this. I think it's kind of cool that the person that saved Spider-Man was essentially Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, Tom Holland's like, I don't want to fucking make these stupid Madam Web movies. Like, can we like make those Iron Man spinoffs still? And they're like, oh well, I guess we can. We got to go back with our tail between our legs and go, hey Marvel,
we'll take your original offer.
Right. It's like, oh, well, you kept offering us more and more and more. And now we realize we screwed up because we're Sony and we make TVs, but not good entertainment based decisions. So
I'm really, I'm liking Titans this year, but I am so stoked for everything that's coming on Disney.
Oh yeah. Like Titans is great. I mean, did you guys talk about Titans at all tonight?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I threw Deathstroke and Garth on that thumbnail, and I was like, hey, you know what? Aqualad was pretty damn cool. I like the fact that they threw him in there. But the fact that they gave him shit for being the fish guy, and he was still like, yeah, I'm a pimp. I'm gonna put my my fins all over Donna Troy. That's kind of cool.
I should have I think they realized they screwed up, and whoever was the showrunners in the first season, and I'm like, maybe they should have just made it like this whole backstory could have been a season alone. Do you know?
Yeah. Well, I think honestly that's what they're doing this season. Is most of it's going to be told in backstory. I think that we're going to get maybe some more of the modern day stuff, but I think that it's going to be a lot of backstory for Dick and Donna and everybody moving forward to come to a point where they can at least come up against Deathstroke. So I'm hoping that there's more in the past. I think that this little flashback to the days of the original Titans was a cool thing, man. I dug it.
Hey, you guys both have the Marvel streaming service, right?
The Unlimited?
The app for their digital comics? Yeah.
No, I don't.
Okay, so do they take anything down on that, or do they leave everything up, Carson?
Everything on Marvel Unlimited, I believe, is a growing database.
Yes, I don't recall anything being taken down off of there.
Because I'm frustrated with DC regarding them taking.
What else did they take down?
Well, from the streaming side, they took down like Arkham Knights, the JLA Doom. Oh,
like the movies and stuff.
Yeah, but then they take
weird.
They took Animal Man down and they didn't put it back up.
Yeah, there's Legend's still mad about that, which I am too, because I wanted. He just got like where it was going to get really good, that third act of Morrison's Animal Man, and then they took it down, so he hadn't been able to read it yet.
The only thing that would redeem it, and I would be happy with, would be some of the Vertigo stuff if it went on.
I know. I don't know. Why
I love the fact that, like, honestly, the only reason I still pay for it is like the Titans is good, right?
Yeah,
that's good. Swamp Thing was good for the first 8-9 episodes of it. That's been good stuff. The Doom Patrol stuff has been pretty decent as well.
I think Harley will be a lot of fun when that comes out too.
Honestly, the reason that I still keep paying for that is the Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah,
I've been rewatching all of those.
I've been watching a lot of the Beyond.
Batman Beyond. I never got into that, and that's on my to-do list.
And I just so if they're gonna do these one-off movies and that, like honestly, if DC wanted to print money Just go up to Michael Keaton and say, "Hey, whatever you want to be Bruce, and let's do a Batman Beyond." That'd be amazing.
I think you're overestimating how interesting that Michael Keaton as Batman is. Like, okay, that 89 was a pretty good flick for the time. It doesn't age well, and Batman Returns is a hot mess. It's my favorite out of those early Batman movies, but it is a hot fucking mess of a movie. Just way too much going on. I think you're overestimating. What's that?
You didn't like Max Shrek?
I love him in that movie. He has no reason to be in that movie, but he's there, and he's like, Catwoman, I'm gonna throw you out a window.
Do you know I watched an interview between Kevin Smith and Tim Burton.
I saw Kevin Smith last night in DC.
Yeah, he was in the front row, man.
Yeah. The dude that was sitting next to me ran and got some food and ran into Jay and was like taking pictures with him and shit.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Did you like it?
Oh, I loved it, man. A great show. It was a fantastic show. You're talking about more wrestling in 2 hours of television than has been on Raw in the last 6 months. This is, and that's a 3-hour show, and this was a 2-hour show. There were 3 dark matches, and they were all great.
I told Carson
4 dark matches, actually.
Nice.
I told Carson, I said NXT felt like ECW and AEW felt like Nitro.
That's the thing is NXT is still not doing arena shows for the live TV. Is that true? Are they still working out in the NXT arena? Because I haven't watched it.
Yeah, they were in the NXT arena this week.
Yeah, and you're talking about 1,000 people. There were 15,000 people. There were 15,000 people at the AEW show. The place was packed. There were a couple dead sections. You heard the rumors that scalpers had bought up too many tickets. There were a few dead sections, but they were hidden well on TV, and it was like nothing like the last WWE show I went to. That building was empty. This building was jam-packed, and
now tomorrow night,
everybody was like of buying things aged. There was like a couple kids here and there. You see some kids, right? But it's a wrestling show. Like the majority of people were 18 to 45ers, right? That's the buying public. That's the market you want to corner, and they've done a great job with that. I don't think WWE is going anywhere, but I think they're making a lot of mistakes creatively on their main roster. I think those creative mistakes are going to trickle into NXT, and it's going to be a shitstorm once Vince is like, "Oh, they dropped a rating point. I better go over there and make sure everything's okay."
Yeah, so far, AEW beat them in the ratings, of course.
Well, NXT
did they really?
They brought back Finn Balor.
See, that's the thing is Finn Balor does nothing for me.
And what's the other guy's name?
They did too much to kill him.
Yeah, they brought back both Finn Balor and Tommaso Ciampa.
Ciampa gets me excited, but Ciampa is one of those guys that he'll never go to the next level. The reason why they want NXT to compete with AEW is because they internally they know that Vince knows nothing about how to handle this talent. Like the talent that has come up from the main roster from NXT over the years has been squandered. They did something with Owens, and that's about it. Like Baron Corbin has become the worst thing in the history of wrestling. He's become JBL without skill.
Vince likes those big guys. That's his thing. Is
you look at the guys who have kind of had a successful run after NXT. You're looking at a guy like Samoa Joe, who's been squandered.
Rollins is your only one who's went from NXT to main eventer.
But that's the thing is Rollins was only in NXT for 3 fucking weeks. Like he was on Florida Championship Wrestling. Like he was the first NXT champion or whatever.
The Shield.
Right. He left immediately. Like he wasn't there for the groundswell support that NXT got when it was finally on the network.
The lurkers are back.
The best thing they did was they developed the women.
And they stopped doing that.
They benefited the most from it.
But that's the thing is they stopped doing that. Like you've got Shayna Baszler now, right?
She's pretty awesome.
She is great. But Ember Moon, fantastic. But where is she on the main roster? Asuka, fantastic, but where is she on the main roster? I think honestly, that's the one plus that NXT and the WWE have over AEW right now, because if you watch that title match between Nyla Rose and Riho, it was phenomenal. Like I heard people online say that the Adam Page Pac match was really good. The crowd kind of checked out during that match. Pac did a lot of really cool heel techniques where he would extend the match with no action, get people booing, which was good. It was him basically being a bastard, which is what his gimmick is. I'm totally cool with that. But they also said it was quiet during that Riho match. It was not. That place
they were pretty fired up. Yeah.
That place was on fire for that women's match, and it was great. But we got a dark match, which was another women's tag match, was the sloppiest fucking thing I've seen outside of a indie match around here with like 40 people in a VFW. It was sloppy and it was ugly, and it had no place on a live television show. And I'm glad that it wasn't on there for their sake.
Yeah, I watched that the women's battle royal they had during their last big show. I think it was during All Out, and yeah, same story there. I just felt like, especially like Roddy Piper's daughter, they kind of like put a little bit of heat behind her debuting on Twitter and stuff, and she may have spent 10 seconds in the ring, and it was just she's not ready for ring action.
There, you know what? And I think that they are ready for ring action, but at the same time, it was like kind of a sloppy thrown together dark match, and there were a couple of botches in the next match, which was it was the Jurassic Experience versus SCU was the match that closed the entire show. And they're hyping another match for them like 2 weeks from now in Philadelphia. I think they're going to do a match on TV, and this was probably that match. And there were a few unique things that they tried to do that you could tell were awkward and botchy that they found a way around. There were also like 3 big botches in the women's title match, but they were covered really well story-wise. Like Riho went to get Nyla over, and you could tell that she just legit didn't have the strength to do it, right? So she collapsed, and they went back into it, and they went to the spot later and actually figured it out. But that was really well covered by both performers in the ring, being very professional about it. I tell you what, man, the first dark match was that opened the show was Darby Allin, and who did he fight? Shima, right? Really, really good match. Really tight, really well worked. And then the first dark match after the show was a 8-man tag, right, with Jack Evans and Angelico.
Nice.
Teaming with the Lucha Brothers versus Best Friends. And who else was in there with Best Friends? Can't remember.
Was it Orange Cassidy?
Orange Cassidy came out with Best Friends. He was like the 5th man in the corner. And it was really great, man. He did a plancha off the top rope to the outside with his hands in his pockets. It was great. But the end of that match was Chucky T got caught with a top rope, tight rope running punt to his head from Rey Fenix. That was possibly the most death-defying maneuver I've ever seen in my life. He started on the corner and tightrope ran, like not like the Undertaker step, 1, 2, 3 run, punted the guy in the middle, and then jumped off and landed in the ring like on both feet. And it just was like the most devastating thing I've seen. It was fantastic. Really great show, great energy in the building. Good character stuff with Jericho. I'm sure everybody's seen the Twitter stuff about the wiener.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you threw a hot dog in the ring, Drew.
I did not throw a hot dog in the ring, but you can tell it's like Kenny Omega goes through the table. You can tell they went to commercial because the screen went to black and then came back up. And Jericho reaches for a mic. You can tell as soon as they went to commercial break, he's like, who throws a wiener in the ring? And then he crushed it. It's the funniest thing.
I was kind of hoping he'd just rub it in one of the Young Bucks' face. I thought he was going to for a second.
No, it's great. And I think he's got a new gimmick because when he came down to beat up Cody after the first match, He totally left his belt in the ring when he left. I'm like, that's what he's going to do from now on. He's just going to leave his belt random places.
Yeah, that's true. You also got to see your boy MJF.
MJF was great. He came out, he popped the crowd hard with his rhetoric, and then the match itself was really disappointing. It was really short.
Yeah, it was pretty short. That was disappointing.
But I told my buddy at the beginning, I was like, he's like, who's this Brandon Cutler kid? Because he doesn't watch the Being the Elite, where Brandon Cutler's on Being the Elite all the time. He's a production guy. He does a lot of backstage stuff for them. And I was like, nope, the jobber era of Brandon Cutler begins. Like, they're not going to give this guy a shine on the first show. I was like, no, they're putting over MJF and they're going to do it in a squash. And it was just kind of an awkward squash, but there were some really cool spots where he did like the trip maneuver. It's a complete asshole to him. It's just great MJF heel stuff. So
yeah. No, I really enjoyed it.
He got his heel shit in and made him look like a complete asshole on TV, which was great. Sammy Guevara got when he pulled Brandy.
Oh yeah.
In for and Cody hit her with a suicide dive. The asshole chants began immediately. Like there were the chants in this building were bigger than any chants I'd ever heard at a WWE show. So that's one cool thing there. The Jake Hagar surprise appearance, the "We the People" chants were going crazy. Like that dude he is a big dude, and he was throwing people around like nuts. But
really I don't remember him being that big, and it's just because everybody in WWE is that much bigger. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think they're that much bigger. When you look at a guy like Cody, Cody's a big dude. He's a tall guy. He's not super jacked, but he's a tall guy. Dustin's the same way. Dustin's a tall dude too. Like, yeah, the Young Bucks are smaller performers, and yet Jericho's always been a shorter guy.
Yeah.
And Sammy he's a cruiserweight, you know. The LAX guys or Santana and Ortiz, they didn't do much that impressed me, I'll be honest. But watching the Bucks live was more impressive than I thought it was going to be. Those guys, they hit the flippy dippy spots and they go hard. And I was kind of sad I didn't get to see Kenny do more because he's fun to watch in the ring, but the Moxley angle was fun to see. Just overall a really great show.
Did what was the pop like when he came?
The Mox pop was crazy. Like you started seeing him come through the crowd, and it just like grew and grew.
That's awesome.
And grew. But the thing is that the swagger pop dwarfed it. Like the swagger pop had me out of my seat. I was like, whoa, oh, here we go. We're standing up now. I had a few whiskeys beforehand, so I was chanting along and having a good time.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping they were going to debut someone new on that show because that crowd was just so electric that whole night that like they needed to bring in someone and just put them over huge. And I think Hagar is going to have a good run there, hopefully, because I've always liked him.
He's a solid in-ring worker.
I think the stable that he built came quick.
Yeah, it seems pretty random so far.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've got good guys, we've got bad guys, right?
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
And that's something that the WWE doesn't have right now. There's not good guys, there's not bad guys. Everybody's a tweener.
Yeah, there's good guys, and then there's Baron Corbin.
Right. There's like Braun Strowman, who it's like we're booing him today, but we're cheering him tomorrow. You know, it's like there's no consistency for booking on the competition right now. And like NXT is a separate thing. I think that they do really well building their storylines. I think when they have 2 hours of TV to fill every week, it's going to be live. You're going to see some of the inexperience there. And you're going to see them kind of lose their way a little bit, but we'll see.
My point I've made recently with the people about NXT that I think is going to cost them in the long run is you're going to see some phenomenal matches on NXT, but I think you're going to see eventually they're just going to start showing you some of the worst promos you've ever seen because it's still NXT. There's still, the newer guys that don't.
Right. Why does Cameron Grimes deserve a spot on a show that could go to Finn Balor? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And you're going to run into the same issues that you run into on the main roster, where you've got too many guys and not enough time to use them because you're now, Cameron Grimes has a hat that we can sell, so let's go ahead and put him on TV more. It's like, well, thanks, Vince, for that idea. Maybe we should let him be on Raw.
Well, I think tomorrow's going to be. I think tomorrow's going to be an absolute clusterfuck.
You think?
I mean,
Oh,
the most
you mean
important thing
SmackDown.
to them is to get prediction wise.
Welcome to hour 3 of this stream. It's called Wrestle Talk.
Yeah, my problem is, did you see what Punk said for The Rock to do?
Nope.
So Punk said, "Hey, Dwayne, when you go to the ring this time, call me. I'll answer."
If they do that, they're in trouble because he's going to lose his job with Fox before it even starts.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know what? They are not a company that is very forgiving in the short term. They are a company that's very forgiving in the long term. But do not step on Vince's dick your first day back on the job, man. Like, and I think that him taking that job with Fox was basically a FU to the industry. He's not going to wrestle again.
Well, I think Vince will forgive people.
If there's money to be made, there is. But if he's not going to wrestle again,
He's not going to make money.
He's not going to make him any money. He's not going to make him the money he thinks he's going to make. I think that he took the job because it's an opportunity for him to talk about the product in a critical manner. I honestly think he took that job as a money gig to be a dick. And I don't know the dude from Adam. I met him at C2E2, and he seems like a really nice guy, but you hear from everybody else what a fucking asshole this kid is. And maybe he is that asshole. Maybe we're going to get a chance to see him kind of shit on Vince in his own house. But I think that if he's getting paid by Fox, and there's nothing that Vince can do to get rid of him, that might be interesting. Overall, I don't see people on Fox watching a show about wrestling that doesn't have wrestling on it. And I think that that's going to be very short-lived.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a good episode this Friday. I think they're going to have all these legends and Hall of Famers like they always do for the anniversary shows.
Let's
I'll
bring
got most of the screen time, and you're going to get like probably 2 decent matches. I think they're going to have, a women's match with Becky and Sasha, and then I think there's going to be the title match. They're paying Brock a truckload of money to finally wrestle on television for the first time this decade. Kofi Kingston. I
think the whole thing with that means that you're going to see that match start 5 minutes before the end of the show, and it's going to be obvious that there's going to be some sort of finagly Vince Russo finish to it. That's my call on it. Oh, we're advertising Brock's going to wrestle. Okay, here he comes at 10:52.
I'd be all right with Brock actually winning the belt again if he's got the Fox money and they actually make him appear on TV every week, like defending the belt. But that's probably not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
He'll get paid, but he won't be on TV.
That's the reason I don't see CM Punk coming back to wrestle, because if he was coming back to wrestle, it would be for a Brock Lesnar schedule. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's at the point now where he can walk in there and be like, okay, Vince, you want me back for 3 pay-per-views a year? All right, I'll show up at 8 TVs. I won't wrestle at any of them. I'll run my mouth. And the fact that he's doing a weekly TV show for Fox instead leads me to believe that he's not coming back, because he could demand his price at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, he could basically say, oh, you want me to work every week? Okay, do me a favor. Send me to NXT. Let me work Adam Cole. If he wanted to, he could do that.
I think the Fox isn't happy because they want Bray on there.
Fox will get whatever they want.
You think so?
Yeah, McMahon has his entire financial plan for the next decade tied into this $1 billion for 5 years deal with Fox. Like, he needs Fox to do what he wants to do with the XFL. He needs Fox to do what he wants to do with the network. He needs Fox. He needs that money. But at the same time, Fox, the numbers that SmackDown is doing on USA right now, gets a sitcom on Fox canceled.
Yeah.
You have to.
I don't see this lasting long.
Right. You have to basically look at this as Fox needs the WWE way less than WWE needs Fox.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying for a sports-like program, right? They're expecting sports-like ratings. You're going to see
it's in the death slot. Friday nights, 8 p.m. It has a history of getting shows canceled early.
Right. And you're also looking at a situation where they're going to inundate that show with so much advertising. So much, because it's like sports, right? You get the NFL has the right guard end zone cam, or here's the Slim Jim Slam of the week. That kind of stuff is going to go through the roof, because the only reason that they're looking at that as a boon for them is that you can advertise during the show. You don't have to wait for a commercial break to sell commercial space. You can sell it on the banner at the bottom of the show. You can sell it in picture like they used to do on Raw. Like there's going to be so much advertising on that show to try to make them the profitable investment that Fox wants.
He said Jimmy John's logo's coming back on Brock's shorts.
Hey, you know what? There might be a lot coming on the back of Brock's shorts at the end of this.
You know what my favorite food tie-in was for wrestling ever? It's like there was this like one awkward time where Jerry Lawler has a Subway sub. It's a foot long. And he's just like, they brought me a Subway foot long. This is great, Michael Cole. Puppies. And then Santino Marella comes out, runs, punches Jerry Lawler in the face, and steals the sub because they're feuding. And then eats the sub. He's like, Jerry the King Lala, I love Subway. And he just eats the sub right in front of him. And that's what a heel does. So that's probably my all-time favorite like fast food tie-in to wrestling ever.
I like the backstage Snicker commercials. I think it's the best.
Yeah, those are pretty fun.
But I mean, I haven't watched Raw and SmackDown on a steady basis in a year.
No, I've been done since SummerSlam.
It got really bad, and we need something new.
I'll still get the game though.
Oh yeah, as soon as the AEW game comes out,
that too. Well, it depends who's made. If they get Aki THQ. Somehow resurrect them from the dead. That'd be cool.
What they need to do is they need to make a No Mercy game just with AEW skins. And I'd buy the shit out of that.
Those nuggets? On the nugget core?
Nah, man, I got a cookie.
Oh, it was a chicken nugget. I was like, where did Drew get a chicken nugget in the middle of a show?
I actually had chicken nuggets before I logged on.
Oh, good plan. Those aren't the Wendy's ones, though.
No, it was a post-movie stop, and Wendy's and that area is closed. Closes at 11.
That's terrible. Anyway,
right. Mickey D's is open 24 hours.
What do we got going on tomorrow, Chad?
Well, is Drew going to be with us tomorrow?
I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you?
You know.
You bet I am. It's going to be an exciting show tomorrow night on the Comic Core, 10 p.m. Eastern. You never know what's going to happen on Off the Rails when we get the real comic book talk on the show tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Wait. Real comic book talk's coming?
Yeah.
You bet.
I might have to work. I don't know. Tell those guys I said hi.
I will. They've been talking to us a lot recently, so that's kind of cool.
And thank you so much to Fish Tropic, who is probably the only person left on Earth watching this show. You are the best.
Him and Chris Barrett fell asleep.
Yeah, he fell asleep on the keyboard. I think he was drawing eyes early or something. I don't know.
Look, man, all that matters is that somebody watches this on the rewind.
Yeah, that's
one person.
Yeah, Fish, if you could watch this again, that'd be pretty cool. Thank you.
And Perry jumped in a couple times.
He signed in on both accounts, so thanks for 2 views, Perry. Anyway, it's been fun tonight.
Yeah, well, hey, with that being said, we got to go. See ya.
Later.
Manchu, baby.
A regular driver's license, what is that?